Hey, what's up, everybody? It's been a while since I made one of these, but I'm back. And this time I have one of the most important people for New York City DDR with me. I've mentioned in my previous videos that it's important for us to understand the beginnings of New York City DDR, and Stefan is not only a really good friend to me, but he plays a big part in how not only New York City DDR got started, but DDR as a whole. So, why don't you introduce yourself, let everybody know who you are, and, we'll take it from there.
What's going on? Stefan Salomon, aka Superman 840, aka 123 Kid. I started playing DDR in probably 2001, and actually stepped into an arcade and played 2002. No, it was 2001. And from there, the sky was just kind of the limit.
Okay, cool. Do you remember which arcade you started playing in?
The very first arcade that I stepped into was Barcode.
Oh, Barcode. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, to reference, I guess it's Forever 21 now.
I don't even know, but I know they closed it down a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So I had stumbled into Barcode one day, and I saw this dancing game, and I hopped on there. I think my first song was "Have You Never Been Mellow?"
Yeah.
And I failed in fine fashion. And then it was released on PlayStation, the Dance Dance Revolution. I had to buy it with the $20 plastic pad.
Yeah.
And that summer, I was a freshman in high school. So the summer between being a freshman and sophomore, I just played every day, and I promised myself that I would go back into an arcade and pass, and I did. So my second arcade that I ever went to was Broadway City.
Okay, yeah, we got to get into Broadway City, but we'll save that one for last. But aside from Broadway City and Barcode, what other arcades did you frequent, and what were your takes on other arcades in New York City?
So I was very receptive and open to the idea of traveling to play DDR. I know you know that. But my takes on other arcades, Chinatown Fair was another favorite of mine because it was different. The crowd of people there was so far and wide, the range. NYDS, of course, because when I was with the Broadway City crew, getting my feet wet, learning things from a lot of people I looked up to, they introduced me to the idea of DDR Freak. And these different groups, they started bringing me with them to these places.
Okay.
I wouldn't go all the time. My home arcade was Broadway City, but Lazer Park as well. I worked there for a bit, but that's a history in itself.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like people can make a 3 or 4 hour video on New York City arcades, just on the arcades and the scenes and the people and the vibe of different arcades. And I would definitely, thinking back, would associate you to Broadway City, but I don't know as much about it because you definitely started playing before me. You correct me if I'm wrong, you have that third mix background. I don't have a third mix background. I don't really have much of an idea of how the arcade scene was. It's funny because, I started playing DDR with my cousin Shayna, and so one day she was walking to Chinatown Fair. And do you remember Marilyn from Chinatown Fair?
I do.
So Marilyn saw my cousin, and she was like, "We're getting fifth mix." Like she said that like it was a big because it was a big deal because I've mentioned in some of my previous videos about how New York City kind of skipped fourth and sixth mix. I don't know why, but all the arcades just maybe it was a financial thing. But I remember Marilyn telling my cousin Shane, "We're getting fifth mix," and like it was that was an exciting thing. But so you said NYDS, you said Chinatown Fair. Did you go to Smiles in Queens? Like a lot of people mention Smiles back in the third mix days. Did you ever go there?
No, I might have went, but I definitely did not frequent it. It was probably a one and done.
Okay. Yeah, Lazer Park. Yeah, like this interview's got to be like riddled with Lazer Park information. So we'll definitely touch on Lazer Park, but Lazer Park was the spot. Like that was a fun spot. And I know you used to play there a lot.
I know. What's it called? Give Me the Light came on the other day, and I thought of Lazer Park in those teen nights.
Oh yeah, they used to shut. So if anybody was watching, they used to shut Lazer Park down, and they would just turn it into like a teen club night. That was fun, man. Those are fun times.
Yeah, and anybody can imagine like when Sean Paul's album dropped, and Give Me the Light came on, and you were logging on. I mean, I still use that move to this day.
Nice.
But like, just look at the video. The dance vibes it was a sight to see.
Yeah. So back in those days, especially like around the time that I came onto the scene, like I was new, so like I was really like a nobody. But I remember even back then coming to Broadway City and watching you play DDR, and there was like a group of people who played DDR. Like an older group of people, and that was JDS. So there was JDS, and then from what I remember, what was the group vibe back then? Where you had JDS, you had Techtyle. I think you had like groups from Queens. What do you remember about the DDR groups back then?
Yeah, let me give you a little bit of background. So like Broadway City was really like family. Like the players there, we were all like family. I dated Stephanie Foster. She had her little brothers Jeff and Steve there.
Yeah.
They were little. I was like 14 at the time. And this is before your time.
Yeah. Before
you even showed up. But Spider-Man, he took me under his wing. I'd watch him, and I would really examine a lot of what they were saying and doing, and they helped me when I was a fledgling. And JDS was Spider-Man's team, but they unofficially took me in, Stephanie, because it wasn't really about how good you were. It was like having fun. And just it wasn't all about the game. It was about the laughs, coming together. I remember third mix, forget his name, the guy, he would play doubles a lot, and he had the glasses with the long hair. He was like, I think he might have been Sicilian, but he would play, what's that song by that group? It's like Scooby Snack.
Oh, Wonderland.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what we would sing in the middle of his freestyle, and it was hilarious, because those weren't the lyrics, but we were about that. We would think outside the box. That's where I got a lot of my ideas. And Techtyle was something I actually started.
Oh, really?
That was my group.
I thought that was Nobody Jen who started it. You started Techtyle.
So, okay. Yes, well, I started it. I was with her. Okay. Omar was dating her, if you recall.
Yes, I do.
So, wow, you're bringing me back. There's a whole lot of information here. So Omar was dating Nobody Jen. At that time, I was starting to become a better freestyler. Me and Ash, Devil in Black, we actually went to high school together.
Yes.
We didn't understand that we went to high school. We only knew each other from the arcades until one day he was on my floor. And I was like, wait, you go here?
Yeah.
And then, so Ash and I, we just meshed so well. We became a force to reckon with when it came to freestyle. And I mean, I still have some of these freestyles memorized, but when we got on the pads, our routines, if you could remember Japan, if you could remember, of course, Evolution, they would really shock people.
Yeah.
and the crowds were like outstanding. If anybody's ever been to Dallas BBQ, they kept a lot of the interior design that was Broadway City, and you've seen how large that establishment is. We've had it where people couldn't even walk through. They just wanted to watch us play. So off of the strength of that, JDS was this thing. Nobody Gen saw talent in us. I believe Julio was a part of Techtyle as well.
Yep.
And I had freestyles with Julio too. Like to this day, my knee, those knee drops down in my rave.
Yeah.
Whew, vicious. We just, this synergy. It's like, I really wish we had a lot of this on video.
Yeah.
Cause I mean, to this day, even if I play, people are like, "Yo, you're so old school. It looks like you're not even playing," you know?
Yeah.
Cause we were that deep with it.
Now I don't want to derail it too much because a lot of the stuff that I want to say is like part of this interview. But I was I was one of those people going to Broadway City to play DDR, but just being like, "Yo, like." How, like, it's just like you and Ash made it look fun to play. Like, y'all just made it look fun to play. I do remember Japan. I remember Evolution. Julio. I remember seeing Julio do his own thing a lot. Like, I may have seen you play with him, but I remember seeing you and Julio just, y'all made it look fun. This is before Perfect Attack was like prominent. Yeah, you had people like Shawn, like Ironfoot, and people who were just going for score, but like people who play, I don't want to say the DDR community, but like people who were playing DDR were still trying to figure out how to play this game, and y'all just like embodied this, like, yeah, you basically made it look like you weren't playing DDR and you made it look fun. So by the time I got around Techtyle, I feel like y'all did people have Techtyle shirts, or am I just imagining that? Like maybe it was just the banners on DDR Freak. Like it was like everybody was in Techtyle at one point, it seemed like.
Yeah, we're very inclusive. And one thing about like our demeanor, like for example, when I said JDS invited us to go to NYDS and we'd play with Lag, it took me forever to figure out that.
Oh, that's the girl group from
Little Asian girl.
Man, I knew that there was a couple of groups in Queens that I forgot about. Anyway, go ahead. Okay.
Yeah, and then it was so fun meeting them for the first time. It was like a breath of fresh air. You know, we're all like 14, 15, 16, and we're playing. And then I found out about DDR Freak, and then I was like JDS versus Lag. Like, we're gonna pull up next weekend, and we're just gonna battle and see who's better. And they had some people who didn't even speak up, who were just there doing their pump it up thing, and you were just like, wow, they're really freestyling. Like, and it was like friendly competition. Nobody taking scores. I remember, I mean, since I'm mentioning it, they did do like a tournament every other weekend.
Oh, really?
At a point when they had all those machines. And I remember facing Leanie in a pump it up tournament in the finals. And she won. I made sure she won because I was just having fun. I didn't need to win that. Yeah. You know, there were times where it was just like, you got it, because at the end of the day, we were all just homies kicking, you know?
Now, at some point, I don't think I remember the specifics of it, because like when during this time, like I was playing with my cousin, I was playing with, Izzy. I had another friend named Fernando who I started playing with. But I feel like at some point, for whatever reason, not JDS, Techtyle kind of dissolved.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that at all, or like
I can.
Yeah, all right. So like, what happened with Techtyle? Because after Techtyle came DDPD, so like, like how did that happen? Where like Techtyle just wasn't a thing anymore?
Yeah, okay. And the term Techtyle was, you were a technical player, but you could freestyle. Yeah. And that was the basic requirements to be a part of our team. You had to be, good in both worlds. So I believe Omar was dating Jen. They broke up. Okay. And then Jen moved to like Australia or back to Asia because she was Filipina, and this girl could dance.
Yeah.
She had moves. I think there's like a video of her surfacing like at one tournament in Cali, and she's freestyling. Like she could dance. I mean, good looking. Well, you know, like pretty average looking person. Like if you looked at her, you wouldn't think she could move, but as soon as she got on that pad, she was flowing.
Yep.
It was slightly seductive the way that she moved, you know.
She had her own style.
Yeah. But it was that was kind of the surface of what happened with that. But Omar and myself, so there's a whole backstory here. This was my sophomore year in high school. My best friend had basically like dropped out at this point. I didn't know what was going on at the time, my best friend. And Omar was going through it. He lived not too far from me on the Upper West, where he wanted a place to stay. He had moved out of his pop's apartment and moved into 2E with Brendan. And I brokered that. And Techtyle started to fade away, but we were already building DDPD.
Okay.
We were working on this art. We were working on the character art. You know, there would be nights where I'd be like playing DDR or Stepmania. We'd be listening to songs, we'd be vibing out, and he'd be creating the art. And so he came to me with this idea. He's like, I'm gonna memorize these songs. The only reason we're DDPD is Rhythm and Police. And so we would sit there on the pads and we'd have the step charts printed out, and we would just like play at night, like just play. He memorized Rhythm and Police, and it was based off of Vagrant. Jimin.
What do you mean?
Jimin had Rebirth.
He stealthed the Rebirth?
Yeah, he stealthed it first.
Yeah, I just want to emphasize real quick for anybody watching, this is like back at the beginning of DDR. Like this stealthing, like memorizing songs, this is like a new concept. I don't know if Konami put that in the game as like a joke, not expecting people to actually memorize stuff. But back in these days, if you memorized the song, it was like a big deal, you know? Anyway, yeah. So you guys were in the apartment, you guys were stealthing, and it was Rhythm and Police, and this was because Vagrant Fiend Jimin memorized Paranoia Rebirth.
No, I mean, well, I'm kind of segueing because it's just so much information that I'm swimming around in. He was the reason I stealthed Rebirth.
Okay.
And then we would do it together constantly, facing away, like back to back, one way or the other, facing each other. It added another nuance to it where people were like mystified by the idea of us like being like, yo, there's no arrows on the screen.
Yeah.
Or like, how do they know this, you know? And it just built from there. But as soon as we got our one songs down, we were scouting. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself because Omar was scouting you guys. And I had Jing. I had Edwin already.
Yeah. So Edwin was the first person after you and Omar to join DDPD?
Yes.
Okay.
Based off of the fact that he loved that idea. Me and him our synergy were, what were we, the Tornado Twins? Yeah, and from what I remember, y'all would spin breakdown, but what was the song, the older song? We had a lot. The older?
Like an older song.
180?
No, maybe I'm just confusing it with something else.
We had a couple.
You used to do, was it Enter the Dragon?
That's my first stealth. Enter the Dragon.
Okay.
Yes.
That was a very opinionated stealth because nobody played that song.
I love that song.
But you used to you would own that song.
Yes, I love that song.
But I feel like there was another song you and Edwin would stealth. Anyway, like maybe I'm just misremembering. I know y'all would do Breakdown, which is 7th Mix, which we'll talk about later. But Edwin, yeah, he would spin everything, bro. Like,
yeah, for real.
He just understood it. Like, yeah.
He taught me a lot. I always had to play with him, take something from him. Phenomenal, real life dancer and freestyle. Absolutely. Out of this world.
Yep.
Like he's another one, you'd never guess it. Where, skinny Asian kid, glasses.
Yeah.
And then he starts to move. Wow.
You could tell he studied like dance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He definitely did. I even have a video of him doing finger locking. And
oh, really?
It's like he's playing it with a Rubik's Cube.
That was nice, yeah. So you and Edwin, y'all pulled Edwin into DDPD.
Yeah, I recruited Edwin because, like, even outside of that, he was just so cool, calm, collect. I like the way that he carried himself, And if you got to know him, he was just like a very smart dude.
Yeah.
He didn't let a lot of people in.
Did he go to Stuyvesant? Anyway, he may have went to one of the specialized high schools, but he was a really good DDR player. So Omar, I remember when you and Omar approached me. I feel like it was the both of y'all, but I remember being in Broadway City near the skee ball machines, which were off to the side.
Yeah.
And I remember being asked to be in DDPD, and like I had started to stealth. My first stealth was Moving On, and then I stealthed In the Heat of the Night, and I stealthed Holic, independent of Omar, because I know Omar stealthed Holic also. Mm-hmm. So those were my 3 songs before I got into DDPD, and I remember being so happy because I just needed that at the time. At that time in my life, I was just going through something, and I needed like a good solid group of friends that I could play DDR with. And I remember being mad happy, but I didn't want to cheese it, so I was just trying to play it cool. But I must have left and like skipped down to the train station in Times Square. So it was me, you, Edwin, Omar,
Ash, of course.
Ash,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I had to have Ash on there. Like, had to. And Angel. I know that Omar scouted Angel. Mm-hmm. He's gonna have to tell you like that story. Yeah. But it was like one day Angel was on the team.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and that was the original. I think, unless I'm forgetting anybody.
Ash actually came on a little later now that I think about it. Because when you look at the original artwork, it's me, Omar, you, Edwin, and Angel.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah, you're right.
That's it. And then everybody else got their art created.
Yeah, you're right.
But Ash was definitely a throw-in. I think it's because we had to create the art that he wasn't in the original. Mm-hmm. But he had his own banner. Yeah. Like, and DDPD is like so ingrained in New York City DDR history that like we can't just even say like, and that's how DDPD was created, because there is so much that we'll talk about. So just going back a little bit, it's hard to talk about nicknames with you, bro, because like me and you have such a like deep history in terms of friendship. But like, you a 1, 2, 3 kid. But were you officially Superman, or was just like a DDR freak handle, or like how did your nicknames come about? Yeah, I got I actually started DDR. I did break up. This is like the first love of my life. Broke my heart. I needed something outside of that. That's when I started to switch up my style. Mm-hmm. I would wear UFOs. You can kind of see the artwork on my shirt. Mm-hmm. This is me. This was my second version of my banner. Yeah. And that's kind of like what I look like. I would wear like UFOs, had box sprays, I would wear goggles. Before all of that, this is 1, 2, 3 kid. Before all of that, as I was trying to figure out like where I fit in, I had a thing where I like to just design my own clothes. Like I'd buy a white tee, and I would like cut out patches from different things I had, and then I would like sew it on. Yeah. And I got these Superman patches, and I would wear an upside down visor. Okay. And it would have the Superman insignia there. I had several Superman shirts. This is before you got there and before I started to, like, I remember you gave me the Coochie pants, and I was wearing the hoodie. Yeah. I had a Superman book bag. People would see me freestyle, and I was like, Superman's my favorite DC hero since I was a child. That's how I adopted Superman 840, and even Wojtek would be like, Superman. So people started to know me as Superman 840. We had Spider-Man. So there was like something happening in there. And then 123 Kid, if you know the wrestler, when he was good before he became X-Pac.
I'm like zero knowledge when it comes to wrestling.
So 123 Kid is a wrestler.
Okay.
And when he was in his early stages of his career, phenomenal. Like he would like jump off the ropes, do backflips, kick people. Like you know, he was just there's a name for it in wrestling. Those type of people.
Okay.
The high flyers like Jeff Hardy and the Hardy Boys, and they do the Swanton Bomb. As a kid seeing it, I was like, wow, he's just so awesome. He's just like so boom. I was like, I'm gonna be 123 Kid.
Okay.
And I did what he did in my own way.
If somebody asked me that, I wouldn't have been able to tell them that.
No.
I don't think, if you told me that when we played, I don't remember it.
Well, I was 123 Kid. I didn't wanna, I liked him and all, but I was basically like, I'm taking that, that's mine.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna reference you. And people, it became a household name in that world, DDR world. Like, yo, 123 Kid, yo,
Yeah.
Did you see what 123 Kid did? Like,
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I don't know if I just want to make sure that I touch on this so that I don't forget. But like, you know, like I want you to talk about Shawn a little bit. Not right now, but like we'll get to it. But I feel like you got to mention Shawn, and then it was, from my point of view, it was Deshaun, and then you, and then me. And I feel like I can't speak on Shawn, but Deshaun, like there were rumors. You know, like he AAA'd this, or he did that, or he AAA'd this, and then there was rumors with you. It was like 123 Kid did, and some of the half of them wouldn't even be true. They would be like some off the wall shit, but it would be like, yeah, did you hear what Stefan did? And he, you know, he got 5 greats on this, or like he did this with 1 foot. I think the 1 foot was you first. It was me. I had a 1 foot rumor, like sketch AA max 300 with 1 foot. But I think somebody said that you did it first. Like somebody was like, yes, 123 Kid AA max 300 with 1 foot. And it was just like like you had lore behind you. There was truth, and then there was just like, we don't know what Stefan is capable of because of how talented you were, which we're not even up to yet because we're still kind of talking about freestyling and dabbling into tech. We used to that's what now like they call it, like marvelous attack or what. I don't know what they would call it, but perfect attack we used to refer to it as tech. So 123 Kid. Okay. We spoke about Broadway City a little bit, but I think it's important to emphasize what the vibe was. And you mentioned Wars-Tech, so that, like there was Andre and Wars-Tech, and they both worked there. How did you come to know them, and like what was your relationship with them like in terms of friendship?
So after a while, I kind of became the poster boy for Broadway City in a way.
Yeah, definitely.
They literally made a poster of me when I won that technical tournament. You don't remember they had it in the back room? BC
I don't remember that, really?
Champion. Yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
And then I had another one in my room because they gave one to me. And so I gained popularity. You probably saw it. So we're talking about like early 2000s New York City. And I'd be there Friday nights, Saturday nights, like, you know, and we'd be putting on a show for people. Like, the Bloods would be there, like, redded out a whole section. And, like, I had this air about me where they would want me to sit with them sometimes.
Okay.
Which was wild. And I'd just be, like, sitting there and talking to them, and they just, all I see is red around me, which is wild, but kind of cool. And scary at the same time. But Dick, Simon, and Walt, the chief financial manager and the owner, remember he had that black girlfriend who was super young?
Yeah.
They would pull me to the side, like they'd bring Rosie O'Donnell to me, and I remember I played for her and her girlfriend at the time, and she was like, wow, you're so talented. They had the Oxygen channel come through and do a health and fitness segment, and they needed me to be there to play. The Nickelodeon, Eat and Earn were there, and they played. and put on a show or whatever, and then they put me in the skit. They made sure that I was there. You remember they asked me to MC that BC tournament? Like, I was supposed to be one of the judges.
I don't remember that.
And I didn't even show up. I showed up late, and then we did the Afronova exhibition.
I remember that. Okay.
Because I was supposed to enter that tournament, but I showed up late.
This is the 7 mix tournament.
Yeah.
Because you won I wasn't there for the first one. I've been trying to hunt that footage. You were there for the first one? We could talk about that in a little bit, but...
No, that's Spider-Man. That's the one that he won.
He won the freestyle, and then what's her name?
This was kind of before my time, because tournaments in BC were far and wide.
Yeah. What's Jackie? She won Jackie. Spider-Man.
It was down to Jackie and Shawn.
Yeah. So
Jackie was cool. Jackie was real cool. I liked her.
She was good too, right? Like she was
the best.
Yeah.
She was the best.
That was basically, if you had to pick somebody that Shawn was like rivaling, that was her.
It was Jackie. Shawn was the best in New York, but she was the best like in New Jersey and
like our region.
And she was like this tiny Asian girl who could school anybody. She was a big stepper. And
I remember it, like the thing was like her and 10 played like this. Like their arms were on their side.
I love 10.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wait, 10. What's going on, bro? 10-0, right?
Yep. Yeah, he was good too.
He was good. He was really good.
The most impressive thing I ever saw him do, I never got to wrap my head around this, was he played Waka Laka. You remember Waka Laka?
Yeah.
He played it and put it on left. He didn't know how to stealth it. And he faced left and played it like that. And
it was interesting. Yeah.
I tried that and I couldn't wrap my head around it because he basically, and he looked at, or he maybe put it on right, but he was looking at the screen, but he was playing it as if it was facing forward. And to this day, like I tried to do that a few times in my time playing DDR, and I never, he just understood those arrows differently.
He thought, yes, very differently.
Yeah.
He approached things. That's what I loved about him.
So where we're talking about right now is like from 3rd mix going into 5th mix. So you said in terms of competition, Jackie was the best in the region, and then you had Ironfoot.
Yeah, there are some other mentionable people too, like Jesus, Jesse.
Connecticut.
Yeah, we can get into that.
Okay.
I can get into a whole timeline of tournaments that I entered. Like, okay, Shawn, yes, before you get into it. I just want to put this out there. I did enter a Barcode tournament.
A Barcode tournament?
A Barcode, you probably have no idea about this. I entered a Barcode tournament. And this is going to get into what you're saying, or what you're eventually going to get into, and then I'll be like, that's why I mentioned that. Well, actually, no, continue. And then, but there is a Barcode tournament. I think when we talk about Shawn, that's a part of it.
This is one of the things that I want to talk about. I want to go down the list of like, because from my point of view, again, this is not really my time. Like maybe I started playing, but the 3rd to 5th mix era, it was, you had Shawn, Jimin, Sarcastic Mofo, Perfect Asymmetry, Big Matt, as far as I understood, was good.
Yeah.
Afronova Nick.
Yeah, Nick. But he wouldn't compete. He was just good.
He was just good. The rumor was that his brother had you remember this? His brother had really bad motion sickness, so him and his brother didn't really travel. His brother was good too, no?
Yeah.
Then he only played in
Chinatown.
Yeah. So who am I forgetting? Was there anybody else around this time in the region or in New York that was good? Reggie was pretty good. You remember Reggie? Tall black guy, kind of like he was like around the age of the JDS people. He would play it really smooth. Like he would.
I think I know. Oh yeah. He was good. I think of anybody else.
Do you think Jason was good at that time? You remember Infinite Mystery? Tall black guy with glasses. He was really tall.
Oh, he was. I wouldn't put him in like the top 10, but he had some heat. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Sarcastic Mofo. You could throw him in there.
Yeah. Jeff was good. Jeff was one of the most consistent players.
Me and him were low key beefing. I don't know if you know about that.
No,
over
really?
Stephanie.
Oh, I guess. Yeah, y'all both. He dated her too, right? So yeah.
And we got into it on DDR Freak.
It's always DDR Freak. Well, so at this time, right? Shawn is the best. Why was Shawn good? Like, was it Dead End? I feel like Dead End, everybody used to talk about Shawn and Dead End. Is that like just kind of a rumor, or was Dead End kicking everybody's ass, but Shawn just knew how to do it?
That was a third mix. That's a hard third mix song. Shawn was running third mix. I learned a lot from watching him playing, like Furuhata's theme. Okay, now I'm getting the fifth.
Yes.
That was his thing too. But at that time I wasn't focused on being technical, but I was getting better and people were seeing it.
Yeah.
So Shawn with the right foot only, he was a beast, man. He was full comboing songs, and he was just like, yes, like, you know, once he got it, he's like, yeah, got it. It wasn't consistent, but when he got it, you knew. And there's a time that he had before I was there. Mm-hmm. But when you saw him, he was like the OG when it came to tech and face for New York City. But Jimin was also like right there. To me, it was like Shawn, Jimin.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, because Deshaun wasn't. Well, actually, Deshaun was going different places and competing.
He did say that. He mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like low key, but Shawn, I think at that time, and I also say that because that's exactly how it went down when I competed at that Barcode tournament. I'll just get into it. Mm-hmm. It was, I think the first prize was like a Game Boy Advance and like some money.
Okay.
And I was like, that was my first tournament. I was like, I think I could compete. I think I could do it.
Yeah.
It was Shawn. It was Shawn or Jimin. It's just so throwback. I got shitted on. I definitely didn't win. Jimin won.
Okay.
And Shawn took second place. That's why I was always like, it's Shawn and Jimin. Mm-hmm. Like, those are the two, because I saw it. I could be wrong. Somebody could correct me on who took first and second, but I know that Jimin had that purple Game Boy Advance.
Okay.
At the end of it all. And then we became very tight because he saw me coming up.
Yeah. And
we had a time where me and Jimin were like, once I learned Paranoia Rebirth, like, he was schooling me. He was like, because he was below Deshaun. Because he stuck around. Shawn kind of like, he played, but when things ascended, it became Deshaun, Jimin to me. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't really exposed to the monsters outside yet.
Do you remember Jimin's? It was him. There was him, this super duper troll that never came to Broadway City, and a third person. There were three. He was like in a little group with three people. Do you remember the name of that group? I can't remember the name of it. There was a guy who used to talk spicy on DDR Freak, and that was Jimin's like friend, and he never showed up because everybody would be like, if I see you, I'm gonna kick your ass. Like, I think I said that to this kid. I forgot this kid's name, and I used to be like, if I see you in real life, it's on. And he used to do that with everybody. He was like, he would just say,
he
like,
wouldn't do it to me.
He would just,
I can't remember.
He would say like the most racist shit, the most off the wall wild shit to people, and then but he would just never show up. And it was him, Jimin, and it was a third guy, I think. And they had a group, and I can't remember the name of it. It was probably like a play around group. But yeah, Jimin, from what I remember, you're right. Jimin was good. He was very, you know what it was? He was very opinionated about DDR.
Yes.
Like, he had his thoughts on like step patterns and songs. I'm jumping a little bit forward here, but when we got 7 mix, he was like, I remember him being like, Suguru is the new Japan, and everybody's gonna play it. So I'm already. I think he said something like, I'm gonna learn it really quick, and I'm just not gonna play it anymore.
I get that. He definitely didn't jump on bandwagons at all.
Yeah.
He was like vital to me becoming better. Yeah. Because having access to him, and I know it's because he saw like the potential, that he opened that door in communicating with me, because he didn't communicate with like a lot of people.
He didn't. Yeah, you're right. So yeah, man, like you were coming up at this point in time.
The transition from 3rd to 5th, yes.
From 3rd to 5th, and I mean, I might be jumping the gun here a little bit, but in New York City DDR history, that challenge with you and Ironfoot, I feel like that was like a pivotal moment in DDR history for New York. And like if I have to briefly go over it before you get into the details, I just remember like me and like a few hundred other people playing DDR in New York, like casual to like serious. And then from what I remember, you issued a challenge to Ironfoot on DDR Freak, and it was like, yo, what? So get into that, man. Like, how did that come about? Like, why, and like, how did it come about?
I was starting to feel myself. I think I felt a little. Okay, here's my friend. He's always been a very good friend of mine. He's like a father figure, so to say, when it comes to me in DDR. And I'm getting better, and I'm like, I don't know if this is it has to be after I won my first tournament.
Okay.
So I'm starting to get better, and I'm like, it could have been before, because then that's when I was like, if I could take him, then I can take on anybody. And people are starting to notice, and I'm like, I need to test this. I was never shy to back away from a challenge or issue one, but I know that this needed to be something formal, out of respect to him. And I was like, I know that there was a title to it on DDR Freak, and it became a thread, because the threads would jump back to the top as soon as somebody commented on it, and people were just like, what's going on? Like, and talking it up. It finally happened on a Friday night, I believe. I can't remember the songs for my life. He might have picked For a Hottest Theme, but I was practicing For a Hottest Theme.
Okay, I was gonna ask you. Okay.
I was practicing because I had to like be able to stave that off, and then do what I did, and it has to have been Paranoia Evolution. I was like my ace.
Back then, that was rough. It wasn't the hardest song in fifth mix, but it was rough. But you don't remember how the third song played out? So like, this is back. Yo, I want to say, I could be wrong, but I want to say this is before I was in DDPD. So, and I'll tell you why I'm talking about me in a second. So like, I'm just like, I could have been in DDPD, but maybe it was like in the beginning phases. But I think this was before I was in DDPD. And so because y'all considered me a neutral party, y'all opted for me to pick the third song random. And back then, like, I wasn't that good at DDR. So like, I'm waiting I want to see if this is gonna spark the memory. So like, I'm just like, I just want to see people get lit. And I'm just like, yo, back then the hardest song in fifth mix was Lena Cyber. So I'm just like, yo, they want me to pick the third song, so I just scroll right to Lena Cyber and pick Lena Cyber just to see y'all do it, because both of y'all were like, you were challenging the best person. So that so that's what I picked. I picked Lena Cyber. That was the third song. And with the right foot only, that's what, and I guess you had already had some Lena Cyber practice. So that digital storm part, I don't know if you failed, but like that digital storm part, like that put you ahead, and that's part of the reason why you won that is because I don't think he could do that.
Did you know that I could stealth leading Cyber?
No, I don't remember that. Like while we played?
Yes.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I've stealthed it successfully. So
okay.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. I still remember the steps. 1, 2, 3, and then you do the spin. 1, 2, 3, spin, and then you could keep spinning.
Yeah.
Even the digital storm part, that's how I stealthed it.
Okay.
You could spin that whole thing.
Wow. Okay. So that's how. So you won that, and like that kind of cemented you. And I think at this point, like, this was significant for you. I can't speak for you exactly, but you were emphasizing how cool it was to be good at DDR technically and also know how to freestyle. And freestyle meant, it was like currency in New York City. It meant the world back then, but you were good at both. It was good to be able to do hard stuff in AA Evolution, and you would see people AA dead end or whatever, full combo. Back then, full combo AA was the same thing, but you were good at both of them. And that was, to a lot of people, I think that was significant, to be able to do both freestyle and tech. So because of freestyle, I think I want to touch a little bit on the significance of Andre. So I don't know if his nickname, I online over the years, I've known him as StealthStar, but I've also heard him referred to as Afronova. You know what I'm talking about, right? Mm-hmm. So, what was his nickname back then? Was it Afronova or was it StealthStar?
I just called him Dre.
Dre? And Dre seemed to have a lot of influence on New York City freestyle. He didn't play technical, or he didn't. He wasn't into that.
He could. I've seen him do it, but he only did it like when nobody was around.
Oh, okay. Like he just had fun. He looked like he just had fun on the pad. It seemed like there was a little bit of controversy, and he seemed to get a little upset at points in time. In reference to you and Ash and who was the originators of certain freestyles. But I don't know if you've ever come across that. He got kind of upset at Angel. Angel entered are you familiar with the Digital Life tournaments in Jacob Javits Center?
Well, I've heard of them.
Yeah, so Angel won the 2006 freestyle, and I think he was a little upset at Angel. But I've always given Dre his flowers. Like, I've always thought that he deserved a high amount of respect for New York City freestyle DDR. So what was Dre to you? Like, what was his influence to you? Or like, how did you see him in terms of the New York City DDR community?
Wow. He was funny. Actually, first and foremost, he's high-key a father to my style.
Okay.
When it comes to that whole crew, like, I would have never been as good as I was without them.
Nat, Dre,
all of them.
Yeah.
Never been as good at freestyle without them. I, even to this day, I still kind of move the way that I would watch him move, like subliminally. The little mannerisms that we had, like the flicks, and like just the like wild kooky style that we had when we danced, I got from him. First and foremost. He would just pop out of nowhere, do his set, and people would just be astonished. They would laugh. Yeah. Like, it was just so smooth, suave, and then he'd walk away like nothing happened. Like, just completely leave.
Yep.
And then do his own thing. I owe Dre an apology.
For what?
More than anything. So this is the first time that you guys ever heard it. But Dre, he messed with me heavy, We would talk, he would like give me tips. We would just talk about life, this, that, and the third. And he confided in me to a further extent, and I was so young and naive, and there would be times where I would make immature decisions or really not think before I just shared or I overshared. This might coincide with that Digital Life tournament, maybe.
Okay.
Because I did have a question, but I know it transpired, and I know that's why he stopped messing with me. It came full circle to a point he could tell that I was upset. The fact that I lost his trust. And he kind of started talking to me again. But then it was too late. By then, I like kind of left. So he started to talk DDR with me and things that he wanted to do and wanted to see my take on it. And he told me something. He was like, "Oh, I got this It's Raining Men freestyle."
Okay.
And he gave me the ideas. And then a while later, I was just hanging out. I can't remember when. But I told Angel that freestyle.
Oh, okay.
That's where that freestyle.
It was an NYDS tournament.
I thought so. I saw the video. That's why I owe Dre an apology. I didn't think he was going to run with it. But I think at the time, I gave it up as like a free idea.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So I definitely owe him an apology. I'm going to be straight up. I'm going to be very transparent about like things.
Yeah, well, not so much with Angel, but like that tournament, I really hyped him up because like you weren't around for this Digital Life tournament in 2006, but like it was like the return of Dre for DDR, And it was just like, I was telling people who, like, I had stopped playing officially, but I went to the tournament because me and Julio entered Freestyle. We did Scorching Moon, which is a Supernova song. And I was telling people who had no idea about New York City DDR, I was like, yo, you know who that is? I was like, this guy's like this is like the originator of like New York City freestyle. And I hyped it up. And I think, sometimes the vibe or the atmosphere just doesn't work out. It's like if you ever watch a rap battle or if you ever watch like a performance, if it's just not the right crowd, it just doesn't land. And I just don't think the crowd understood what he was trying to convey with his freestyle. I think he freestyled Moba Moga. I think, is that how you say that song, Moba Moga or whatever? And I like, me and Ash and everybody were having a good time watching him, but I don't think that the crowd understood. And it didn't, he got like a low score on the freestyle. But every time I can, I always try to give him his flowers because him and Nate and Nat and Darwin.
Yes,
Darwin.
Yeah, Darwin. I gotta throw Darwin.
Yeah, Darwin is
That's exactly
great.
what I was thinking about. Yeah.
Like I had good rapport with them. I think you had good rapport with a lot of them too. Like, but they just come through. They would be chilling, and then they would just step on the pad and just wild out, and then they would just go back to chilling. Not really technical at all, but like I always appreciated watching them.
Yeah, they made it look fun. They made it look real fun, and that's where I got a lot of that swag from.
And before we move on to like other eras and stuff, just like the significance of like other freestyles. So I mentioned Enter the Dragon. I felt like that was a good freestyle. Like if you had that in your set, that was good. There was Evolution. You and Ash would do Paranoia Evolution, which was
that
phenomenal.
Was a killer. We could shut anything down doing that.
And then there was watching Julio remember the song Do Me? It was an easy spin. It was up, left, down, right. So it was like
oh yes, I do remember that.
Julio would freestyle to Do Me. Dre would freestyle. Y'all would freestyle to Japan. And then Dre had
me and Ash would freestyle Japan.
Y'all would freestyle to Japan. That was another thing that I think was a bit of controversy. Ash said he would do an interview too, not Japan, but in 2004 Digital Life, Ash did Flashdance.
Yeah.
But I think that there was mention that Dre was the originator of Flashdance. I don't know if that's true. This is also before my time. Because Flashdance was on 3rd mix. And I think it was on 4th mix, but it wasn't on 5th.
Oh, yeah. I actually remember that freestyle. I'd have to see it, but I don't know what you're going to say.
Yeah, so like Ash did Flashdance. It was a really funny routine, but it's like, what a feeling. It's like jumping jacks, what a feeling. And I think I was told that Dre is the one who came up with that freestyle, but Ash did it. But my whole thing was like, I always thought that it was just like y'all kind of fucked with each other back then, so I didn't think it was anything. But I was told that I forgot, Dre didn't tell me this, but somebody was like, yeah, that was Dre's freestyle. So I don't know. I'll ask Ash when I get him in front of a camera. But that was also supposed to be like a good freestyle Flashdance. Like you could walk into DC on a Friday night.
Yeah, he would shut it down.
Yep.
Shut it down.
The last thing about 5th mix that I remember, that I don't know how involved you were in, but I think you were, was the score wars. You remember this?
Oh yeah.
If you played a set on 5th mix, the more steps it had, the higher your score would be, and then you would get on the scoreboard. And it was just like people had like these sets that they would play, and it was usually for hottest theme, No Limit, because No Limit had over 400 steps. And then the third song was like a toss-up between Can't Stop Falling in Love Speed Mix, or it had to be a high step count song, and you had to full combo it and just get as much perfects as possible. This is before people were like AAAing anything. Do you remember like getting involved in the score wars of 5th mix, or like did you like not care about that, or
that the numbers at the bottom can indicate like who had a higher score? Because I did that at a tournament against Reflex.
Oh really?
Yeah. And before the scores even came up, I knew I won, and I just went yes and ran before the scores came up. And I remember he's in the background in that I Believe in Miracles.
The one that Ash and Andre did, or the one that you did?
The one that I did. It's on YouTube. He's in. That was that tournament in Wappingers Fall, And I remember afterwards, he was like, how did you know you won? She was like, how did you know you won? I don't think I told him. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I definitely didn't participate in that.
Okay, yeah, Deshaun was heavy in that. I was doing it, but I was at the end of fifth mix. I wasn't like up there. I was just like one of 20. I was like one of those 20 people that was just like, it was like, me, Angel. You had like the guys from NYDS, Bunny, like people who were up and coming.
Tis Bunny Word. That was my guy, Dave.
He was funny. He was a funny guy.
Steve.
Yeah, Steve.
Popcorn player. Yeah. Steve is nice. Steve is real nice. Yeah. He's gonna get that reference if he watches this.
You kind of touched on this briefly, but were there other regions around New York that were worth mentioning? Because we spoke about Jackie, so New Jersey was always a factor. You had Long Island, and then it seemed like before my time, it seemed like Connecticut was a thing around this time. They had a group called Rancorp. I don't know if you remember that. Mm-hmm. Nugget, Jesse, and a few other people could speak on that. What was the guy's name?
Oh, you talking about Wicked? You talking about Donnie? You're not talking about Donnie.
Not Wicked. Is he from Connecticut?
Yeah.
Not him. It was a dude who looked. It was him and a guy from New Jersey, and they looked identical. Oh man, this is. It's annoying that I can't remember this guy's nickname. He was funny. Anyway, I guess it doesn't matter. But yeah, New Jersey, Long Island, Connecticut. Does that sound about right around this time? Like other regions that were like orbiting New York City? Yeah,
we had the New York forums, and we had the Mid-Atlantic. Mm-hmm. So what time are we talking about right now?
Like around the end of fifth mix, or like around the fifth mix.
There's a lot about fifth mix. I won my first tournament at Babylon Mall, FYE. Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I don't want to throw you off, bro. I just want to bring this up real quick because this guy used to walk everywhere. This guy, Stefan, used to walk everywhere, and I always wanted to go to FYE. Before I went to FYE, I think I asked you. I was like, "Yo, how do you get out there?" So this guy tells me, "All right, so you take the Long Island Railroad." I remember this. Like you said, you take the Long Island Railroad to the last stop, and then you go to the arcade. But you told me, you're like, "Yeah, but I walked there." Do you remember walking there? And you were like, "Yeah, it was like a 2-hour walk." And I'm like, "What?" Like, so everybody else, after I asked other people, they were like, "No, you drive to FYE. It's like not walking distance." But you did not care. You would walk everywhere, bro. And that was just, it's not really a question so much as it's just like a statement, because that's what we would do too. After a while, me and Angel, we would go places, we would walk everywhere because
you build great strength. But in times like those in tournaments, the great thing about DDR Freak, AOL Instant Messenger, we're all connected, Mm-hmm. And I find out about this tournament. Matt's there.
Big Matt?
Big Matt's there. Jesse's there. Jesus. And I'm gonna go to this tournament. It's that time. This is my time to like start really breaking through. I believe for the tournament, no, I wasn't dating her at the time, but somebody drove me. All you really had to do was just have a conversation. I had a knack. It was either my talent or my gift of gab. But I could be sitting here with this guy, and then I could be like, "Yeah, you're not gonna have that."
Yeah, you used to do that. He would drink your drink while having a conversation with you.
So I was able to go to a lot of places at a young age, and not really have to come out of pocket. Like, "Oh, you gonna play that? You gonna play that game real quick? You sure you gonna play? You sure you know what it's? Let me just start this over." It was fun, but I remember Jesse. He was mad chill.
Yep.
Jesus was mad chill, and he did look like Jesus. That's why they called him that before he cut his hair. Mm-hmm. I played Big Matt in the semifinals, and then I played Jesse, and it was definitely Paranoia Evolution. And then it just became a slew of tournaments after that. I was like, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, something's happening. I'm gonna be in Queens this day. I'm gonna be in Long Island this day.
Yeah.
If there's a Sunday, I'm gonna go here, and it would just be like check.
Yeah.
Like as much as I could, racketeering.
Was this the tournament that you got into it with the Dragon Ball Z?
Nope. No. Should we talk about that?
Yeah.
Goku, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
This guy was the fucking villain around that time, man.
So, yeah, he was talking trash about New York on the DDR forums. Oh, and you hadn't mentioned this in your Deshaun video, so I'm glad you brought it up because Deshaun was there.
Okay.
So he was talking trash about New York. There was Vegeta, and then there was Trunks. I was dating Stephanie Macchia at the time.
Okay.
And her best friend was dating Trunks. So I would go out to Long Island, and that's why I thought that she drove me to FYE, because she lived in Farmingdale.
This is the girl with the really curly hair?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember her. She was cool.
So she would drive me to tournaments, you know. She drove me to 8 on the Break. She drove me to FYE. We get there. I'm like, Deshaun's there, Goku's there. I think we went to like the where you redeem tickets area or whatever, and we were talking. And then I told Trunks, I was like, yo, that's Goku? That's the first time I met him. I'm like, why is he talking trash about New York City? I said that to Trunks.
Yeah.
And then that's all I said.
Okay.
And then Trunks walks off, and I'm just chilling there with like Steph and Trunks' girlfriend or whatever. And then I'm minding my own business. All of a sudden, he like pushes me, and he's like, "Why are you talking all that? Oh, you think you New Yorkers could come here?" I pushed him back.
Yeah.
Right. And then we didn't get into it. He leaves. Right. We keep playing, you know, through the tournament. And he calls, I guess, his friends. Like 30 something people show up. Like, I swear to everything. And the way that they had the tournament set up was there was a line that anybody who wasn't competing couldn't cross. So they're standing there. I'm like, they're not gonna do anything, and you still gotta play me. Mm-hmm. So he gets on stage, and his friends basically watch him lose to me badly. And I'm like, you can go home now if you want. Y'all can stay there and watch me play. They all left. I played Deshaun in the finals, and he destroyed me with his song. Of course, I got my song. You didn't ask him about this.
No, I didn't think I knew about the specifics of this.
Yeah. I beat him in my song, and then it was left to the third song. Mm-hmm. And I think Gamelan de Copal or something like that came on. It was basically gonna go in his direction.
No. Like probably an earlier song. That's an extreme song.
Bro, it was an extreme time.
Nah, there's no way. Really? I don't think so. This was like around the 5th to 7th mix era.
No, it was 7th. You're right. It was one of those where if it was a stream fast song, I probably would have had it. Mm-hmm. But it definitely went in his favor.
Yeah, because he was good at that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And he took it. Mm-hmm. And then he took a trophy. I got a trophy. I got a second place one. Mm-hmm. And then he took the cash prize. I got something. But yeah, he definitely beat me in that tournament.
You know what it is too? Is like from my memory, Deshaun may have mentioned this to me, and I just don't remember because by the time, and we'll get into this too, but like by the time both of y'all were established, it would have been like watching a Marvel and a DC movie come together to watch the both of y'all play each other. And I think that you had touched on this briefly in one of our conversations about like, and Deshaun definitely touched on this too with me, about like how y'all were kind of, not that y'all were scared of each other, but like if there were 2 tournaments on a weekend, y'all would both kind of agree that I'm gonna go to this tournament and you're gonna go to this tournament. Well, that's the way that I understood it. Where like, if there was a tournament at FYE and there was a tournament in NYDS, like you knew you would take it if you went, and he knew he would take it if he went to a tournament. Nobody else was gonna beat one of y'all, so you would go to a tournament and you would take it, and he would go to another tournament and he would take it. I think maybe he's the one who told me that. I thought maybe you mentioned this to me, but that was kind of the understanding. Because if he beat you in this FYE tournament, this was still early on, because by the time I knew like what was going on with DDR.
Well, that wasn't FYE. That was a Fun Zone.
Fun Zone, okay. So like by the time like when that happened, it was early on because when I played like by the 7th mix era, if I had seen both of y'all play, it would have been.
We were still getting better. Like it was a nice match. I would like in reference to Dragon Ball. It was like one of those like, you know how they do the movies and like everything is like dramatic and the animation is nice. In regards to that whole day, I would say that even like with the Goku thing, and I was always cool with losing to somebody who was worth losing to. Mm-hmm. That I'm a little bit hazy on the whole because it's a lot of moving pieces. Huge in the community, moving pieces. It had to have been silent, but I kind of wanted all the smoke, to be completely honest.
Okay.
But at that time, yeah, Deshaun had me shook because it's 7th mix. I know we're jumping ahead.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get into 7th mix, but like, yeah, this is kind of his time, you know.
Yeah, it was.
This is his time, you know. Like I said this about you in one of my videos, but like when y'all had y'all time, it was just like unbeatable. And like around this time, it was just like you were good. Like nobody was really beating you, but you were still learning stuff.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense because I was not at that level. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was not, but I was up there at that time.
Yeah, like you were one of the guys, but like Deshaun was just like, you just couldn't pick anything on him.
Yeah,
you just couldn't.
He was definitely my senior.
So like I said, we didn't get 6 mix. I wanted to touch on this earlier, but I want to keep moving forward. But like y'all would take trips, like Techtyle would take trips to Fun and Games. And I remember you were the one who came back and told me about Max 300. And you were like, yeah, I think you said I passed Max 300. Like that's what you told me. And like you were happy about that. And I didn't understand what that meant because I played 5th mix. The next day, I went on DDR Freak and I looked at the step chart. And this is back on DDR Freak when they didn't have the freeze arrow.
Uh-huh.
So it just had like 1,000 steps. And I was like, how the fuck did Stefan pass this? How can anybody move their feet that fast? I remember being like, I'm never going to be able to do that. And then learning later on that it was just a freeze arrow. But we eventually got Max 2. But before we talk about Max 2, no bar. Like this was just a New York City thing.
Oh yeah, on
like,
God.
Like
on God. Yeah.
Like how did that like it was like that before I got there and it was that's just how it was, but like what
yeah.
How do you feel about no bar? Like
yeah, I was a huge supporter of that. It's just how we got
why?
Down.
It's just, you know, like why was it? I could tell you why for me, but like just why for you.
At that time? So yes, I'm glad you brought that up in association with the whole speed mods, the introduction of that in 6 mix. And when I would make those trips on the weekend and I was getting introduced to some of the Jersey players and I see them using that, I was like, oh, this is this handicap, you know, like this huge handicap. I didn't really care that they needed to do that. And I was so in my own flow that I didn't need it. And I wasn't, well, I would point it out to people. I'd be like, yeah. Or I would make a joke about it. You play the way you play. I personally was not going to touch it until the introduction of these 9-footers.
10-footers.
I mean, 10-footers,
yeah.
Pardon. And it really did handicap people the same way that technology handicaps us right now. Because if based off of your own core strength, you can handle that and not need a crutch.
Yeah,
you're a gangster. Like you got it. Nobody could touch you.
You used to have like it wasn't a freestyle routine, but I used to watch you play a lot. Like I was coming up under you, or whatever, right? And you had like your max 300 routine where you would do the first half of it, and you were like your feet were very flat. Now, I don't know if you ever thought about yourself playing Max 300, but this is what I used to watch when I used to see you play. You would play, you would conserve, and you would full combo the first half. And then after the freeze, you would grab the bar. And it just seemed like that worked for you, and it did because your Max 300 scores got lower and lower in terms of grade count. Not that you couldn't do it without the bar, but you would play the first half without the bar, and then you would play the second half with the bar. And that's just how you broke out Max 300. And it was only Max 300 because I've seen you play Unlimited without the bar. I've seen you play Survivor without the bar. But for 300, it was just like boom. And then Stefan would use the bar for the second half. And like the last three jackhammers, the ta-ta-ta, ta-ta-ta, ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Like you would do that, but you would have like one hand on the bar and then you would twist with the other hand. So you weren't like, you know what I mean? Like leaning on the bar, like all your weight. You just kind of used it as a maneuvering tactic, you know? Have you ever thought about like how you use the bar and when you use the bar, or you just kind of used it intuitively?
It was a natural thing. There's two different versions of me when it comes to 1, 2, 3 Kid. When I was doing that, I was living here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So I was still developing.
Yeah.
My 10-footer abilities. So yeah, I could see maybe subconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing that, didn't think any mind or pay any attention to it. Cause I had different forms, you know. I could play on my toes, I could play flat-footed.
Mm-hmm.
I could play using no bar and then using my arms and my core to just like get through things. And then the second version is when I moved to Connecticut and would come back from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
So I was smart enough to. My mother moved me away so I could focus on school because I was too obsessed with DDR. I found out there was a DDR machine. I didn't have a car yet, so I went on DDR Freak, went to locations. There was one at Mohican Sun Casino. I tried to walk to Mohican Sun Casino.
Was that a far like?
Bruh.
Oh my god.
I tried to walk to Mohican Sun Casino. Somebody pulled over like, where you going? And I was like, Mohican Sun. They said, Mohican Sun, you walking there? I was like, yeah. I was fresh. It was like my second week. They were like, nah, get in the car. It's like an 8-mile.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So, I get there and then I'm like, I'm gonna play DDR, you know? I finally found a machine. It wasn't too far from me when you drive.
Mm-hmm.
The machine there's CyberQuest, which is the regular arcade. Mm-hmm. Then there's Kids Quest, where you would leave your child in a daycare and be able to go out and gamble.
Okay.
I had no access to that DDR machine, but I was wise enough to be like, hey, are you guys hiring?
Oh, that's how you started working there?
They hired me the next week.
Oh, okay.
I did like an on-the-spot interview.
Mm-hmm.
I got a call back like a few days later. Hey, can you come in on Friday? Boom, I'm in there. So I had access to it. Free play, 6-mix.
Mm-hmm.
The thing was, the bars were a safety issue for those children. And it was right behind the cash register. So the redemption area was here. The DDR machine was right behind me to my right. So on my breaks, I would go in there and I would play. They removed the bars.
Oh, okay.
So I was forced to play Max 300 with no bar every single day while I was there. And every other song I was playing with no bar. This is the evolution of the second version of 1, 2, 3 Kid that comes back.
Did you move there and then move back and then move again?
No, we had both. I still had the apartment here, and
you would just kind of okay.
I would come every weekend, get a haircut, and then if something was shaking, I'd be in there. That version of 1, 2, 3 Kid, I didn't need a bar for anything.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right, yeah, because I think this is one of the reasons why I wanted to get you in front of a camera, because I don't remember. It's kind of hazy, and like
I get it.
I have the notes, and I think I'm jumping ahead a little bit. I remember the last night that you were here. It was us and the Lazer Park people, and it was kind of bittersweet. It was like we were all meeting up to have a good time, but I remember you getting really upset because you were moving. you know, like
Yeah,
spend your whole life. Yeah. Yep. I don't know if you remember, like I was so nervous when it came to girls, but like we all thought it would be funny. We walked by this restaurant, right? And I don't know whose idea it was. It was all the BC people, like everybody from DDPD and all the Lazer Park people. And somebody was like, let's walk backwards, like we're in reverse to like get these girls' attention. And I chickened out. I was like, I'm not doing that because I didn't want to embarrass me. So y'all all walked backwards to like make it look like, and didn't look at the girls at first to like make it look like it was normal that everybody, like 15 guys were walking backwards. So it was like Najee, Brian, Gordon, you know, Angel, legend. Justin, like, and I was like on the side. I was like, I can't do that. Like, I was like, I couldn't do it. Like, but I just remember it was fun. Like, it was fun, but it was sad because, you know, nobody wanted you to move. But all right, so, you know, like we're going in the direction of Max 2. Mm-hmm. So we already spoke about you and Deshaun, but like, what was it like for you to start playing Max 2?
It was great. It was a fun time. I just excelled. Like, so to be precise, I was able to latch on immediately.
Okay.
Things were just so new. We had so many more options. Mm-hmm. Where you could develop yourself any way you wanted to, technically. Yeah. If you wanted to go the route that Deshaun kind of like reigned supreme in, you had the option to do that with the Reign of Sorrow. And they brought back, But if you went like what was my route, so quote unquote that people were saying, you could go the Paranoia Brothers route, and that strengthened my foundation, where people like, and it showed a reality that was somewhat upsetting. That's my ballpark answer, but the reason I say that is because, well, I became so dominant to the point where they started to ban things, or people wouldn't show up.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Or
it would be in secret, you know, and then I would just show up and they'd be like, man, I thought I could win.
So it's just, when you say like we had so many options, I think that's really important because people don't understand like what it felt like to have two 10-footers. It just seems ridiculously funny now because they have like 19 bar, whatever they want to call them. But like, it was just crazy to even think that people could do something like Max 300 and Max Unlimited. And we were getting both of them at the same time because we didn't get DDR Max in New York City. Like Chinatown Fair had Max 2, Broadway City had Max 2. Everybody skipped Max. And so, you know, we had to unlock them. I avoided them at first because I just knew I sucked at them. But you just, like, I never saw you struggle on anything. I remember this one time, I mentioned this in one of my videos, like, you just, like, you came into Broadway City mad happy and you were just like, I don't know what score you got on Reign of Sorrow, but you were like, yeah, I got XX amount of greats on Reign of Sorrow. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. So like I must have played the song myself or played it on Stemania, and I was like, how the fuck did he even do that? Like, Deshaun was good at that, but I guess you had already known about Reign of Sorrow because, and like Reign of Sorrow during 7th Mix, from my point of view, became this song. Like it was one of them songs where like you wanted to check people, but you didn't want to stamina them out. Cause everybody knew Max 300 and Unlimited. Even if you weren't good at them, everybody knew them. But like if you wanted to check somebody, like Reign of Sorrow was one of those songs to check somebody, and you had just come in and you had just, you're like, yeah, you were like happy, you were like mad smooth about it. You're like, yeah, I just got like 10 greats on Reign of Sorrow. I'm like, the fuck does that mean? Like, but yeah, like
that was the great thing about Max too, is that you could perfect something and then you had so many other options. You're like, okay, so then let me balance this out, let me smooth this out real quick. And it was fun because it was something different and exciting. Deshaun mentioned it in his interview. He was like, you know, a lot of people thought that Stefan only knew Paranoia.
Yeah.
He was like, but no, he's very well rounded. It's like you can't just think I can pick I Feel Rain of Sorrow and you're gonna throw him off. It's not gonna work that way. You know, I don't know how he approached looking at me, but when he said that, I'm like, he's spot on. Like he definitely was watching, because I was having fun learning and mastering it.
Okay.
Where I could single digit, like you could hit random and I would be like, all right.
Yeah. Yep. Because me and you were friends, I feel like there was still competition, but I already knew I knew I couldn't beat you at this time. With Deshaun, I wasn't friends with him like that yet. So there was one time I tried to like sneak a win in Deshaun. I don't know if you saw the whole interview, but I asked to play with him. But I really just wanted, because this is like my first SDG. One of my first was, remember that song, Nothing's Gonna Stop?
I gotta hear it.
So like, it's a 7 mix. So nothing's gonna stop with us too. If you heard it, you would recognize it. It was an easy Freckles type 7-footer. So I had gotten like 4 or 5 greats on it. So I was like, yo, I'm gonna ask to play with him. I'm gonna pick that. I'm gonna try to, then I could go back and say that I beat Deshaun in the match. And he caught on like that. Like he knew, me and him spoke about this. And then he picked like, he told me, and I forgot what it was, but he picked like those weird ass Sweet Sweet Love Magic 8-footer type song. Yeah. And he got me out of there. And I don't know what the third song was. But with you, I already knew what you were capable of, because we hung out together, DDPD. So like, it was just, you were good at everything. One thing that you mentioned was, you mentioned how we just didn't play with the bar, but when we got 7 mix, we had the option to play with speed, and we didn't play with speed either.
Nah.
Like, what's your take on that?
There's so much spinning off. Like, there's so many different avenues I could go when it comes to this. Like, I could talk about Dan the Hand.
Oh, we're gonna get into the Albany tournament, the CSA1, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like, it really disabled people. Remember how? So it became a part. The speed mods, it speeds up and it'll separate the arrows so that you can read it better.
Yeah.
So people didn't know how to sight read. It's like reading with glasses. You can't reverse that. Mm-hmm. It will handicap your vision if you wear prescription glasses and you have 20/20 eyesight.
Yeah. So
when people who disabled themselves by playing with 1.5, 2x and didn't start the other way, soon as that they have to go back down to regular, they're like, what is this? I can't read it. Yeah. You've literally seen people do that, right? Yeah. They're like, I just can't do it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you can't really claim to be that good if you need that crutch,
right?
What it's like me playing you in basketball and like me having my one arm tied behind my back and playing for real, so to say, like an analogy. I personally didn't get into it, never have really, because I wanted to be able to read it for what it is, play it for what it is. I know NJ had a thing about that. That's where we slightly differ, but I'd still go in there and do my thing. We'll get into that other one later, because that one had me
the
tight.
CSA one. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I agree 100% with you, and I just don't. It's such a touchy. It's not even a touchy subject. Like everybody uses speed now, and I've mentioned this before. I'm not making this video for people who like are in the current DDR community. Like it's fine, however you want to play, that's fine. But this is just to put us on the map. But I do think it's important to get everybody's perspective. I've asked Deshaun about this. He's touched on this, and like everybody I interview, I ask them about this because it's part of New York City identity. Like when I played, people would make fun of us about no bar, no speed, no bar, 1x, no bar. That's how people, But this is just how we were, and I do think it made us a lot better, because if you did play on speed, like if you did, like you say, you never got into it, but if you wound up playing on speed, you probably would have did a lot better, but we just didn't. Before we talk about CSA1, around this time, like how did you feel about Max Unlimited? Because you were playing Max 300. but Max Unlimited was an extra stage, and then we had to unlock it. Like, what was your take on it?
Oh, yeah. I was tackling it. Every single time I played, I would get extra stage. And it took me a while to get it, because I would get to the end.
Yeah.
Because I unlocked Kakame for us, right?
I don't think it was
somebody.
Dorian probably unlocked it, because Dorian was going like crazy with the triple A's. He was tripling everything on light, and he was just unlocking everything.
Oh yeah, that's the way it worked. But I beat Kakame.
You might have been the first person to beat Kakame. I was the first person in New York to beat Max Unlimited on extra stage, because I was obsessed with it. It was me, and then it was Brian from Lazer Park. I wasn't better than you at this time. Like, this time you were still like, I don't know if this was before or after Deshaun retired, but I was the first person to beat on. I was obsessed with Unlimited. I knew how to stealth it. Like, if
that is correct. Yeah.
If I had played you with Unlimited, you would have beat me in the perfect count for sure.
Okay.
But I
I remember that.
I just was obsessed with it, so I was the first in New York to beat it. But when we unlocked it, you were ODing on it. I would say you probably the first person to double A it. You probably the first person to get under X amount of grades on it. But you were playing Unlimited a lot. I do remember.
Yeah, it was just such a fun song to me, like, and it was just cardio.
Yeah.
We're not there yet. Yeah, it was just amazing. I loved it. I loved the reaction people had when they saw you playing Unlimited. They'd be like, what the fuck kind of level is this guy on? You know, like,
yeah.
They'd be like, how did you even? They couldn't like put it together. But yeah, I lost a lot of weight playing DDR, bro.
Yeah.
Because I was chubby, and then it just.
And thinking back on it, did you feel like Unlimited was that much more difficult than 300, or you just didn't see it that way?
Definitely. 300's step pattern is so basic. You know, it is fast, but it's just very basic. It's not engaging your core as much as Unlimited is.
Yeah. All right, one more question before we talk about CSA1. So when we played DDR, and this kind of permeated through most of when we played. I'm talking about me, you, and like people that we played with, not just DDR in general. You seem like you didn't really want people to know about your scores. Now, this is my perception. We never spoke about this because of that, because you just seem like very secretive about, or you didn't want people, you know, the look that people do, like you try to like. You seem like you, even with me and Angel and like people that we played with, you did not like we were good friends, but like I was like, I can't look at Stefan's score because he's gonna get mad at me. So what? It didn't seem like this was only you, but like you adopted this kind of mentality. So like what was that about? Like, was it just something that annoyed you, or like what was it?
It did annoy me, and it was kind of corny. It's kind of like people would run. They would run like after they hear the end of the song to look at my score. Like, I don't know if you know who this is. I'm just gonna do a reference.
Jimin.
like what the hell?
Yeah, man.
And it's like people like that you mess with. I didn't think anything less of it, but I'm like, oh, why I gotta start talking this?
Or, you used to hate it, man. And I just like, I'm really like, we're older now. This was like over 20 years from when we first started playing. I always wanted to have this kind of conversation with you about DDR, but I felt like a lot of stuff back then we just couldn't talk about it because you know, I don't know what Stefan got on Max 300. I know like maybe I just double A Max 300, but like maybe Stefan got 20 grades on it, but I can't talk to him about it because he did, you know. So I just wanted to get your take on that.
Could like for example, there's two things I want to say about that. Like when you mentioned how you wanted to just play with Deshaun, you know, there were people who would like, oh, can I play with you? I'm like, yeah, sure, you know, I'm freestyling, I'm having a good time, and then we're done. I'm like, damn, I thought I could beat you. I'm like, oh, that's what that was. Yeah, you didn't just want to play with me. Yeah, like you're actually looking at me intentionally, and I think it's naturally like how I am somewhat, because I always like looked different or stood out, you know, dressed a certain way that would catch anybody's attention. But I was so used to, I'm so used to being stared at, and I'm like, don't do that. Like, you know, like I get it, but like staring is very rude. And then like trying to diagnose me, I'm like, can we just chill? Like, we don't have to do that. Let's go through like natural sequences.
Yeah. I definitely, I don't want to say stole that from you, but when I was in a position where I was dominating New York City DDR, I was the same way. But it wasn't, I don't know if it was a nature versus nurture type of thing where I would have naturally been like that, or I just got that from you. Like I was, and I feel like Deshaun wasn't as prominent about it, but you couldn't do that with Deshaun either. Like he didn't really, you couldn't just, you know what I'm saying? Like, what did Deshaun get? Like I don't know if I would say he didn't like it, but like it just seemed like a thing that we didn't really do in New York. And if you did it, it was like shadowing, you know, like you just like, yo, don't, you know,
don't do that.
Like I did that when I was like up and coming, but by the time I got to where I was the same way. I'm glad that I was able to get your take on that.
There's another one that I wanted to touch base on.
Okay.
I was cool with, actually, I think I was only cool with one person, talking to one person about my scores, because he was up and coming. Do you remember Eagle Boy?
Yeah.
Florida?
Yeah. I don't like I remember the name, I don't remember the specifics of it.
He was like the best they had or something like that. We would go on AOL Instant Messenger and he would do what you said people did, and I've heard of it. He'd be like, yo, I heard you did this on Max Unlimited, and you did this, and I was like, yo, kid, don't believe the hype.
Yeah.
Like, don't. And then I would like message him from time to time, like, how is this, you know, like do that. It was, I guess it's because it's out of sight, out of mind. I never met him, but I kind of wanted to give him some jewels. Yeah. Okay. But I don't know if I could. I never was too into staring into anybody else either, to be honest. I was like, I'm just gonna bring it. Yeah. Nah, it's fair enough. Like, so that was your style. So like in terms, we just talking like this era. We're talking about 7 mix, and you brought up Dan the Ham, and you brought up we're talking about CSA1. Yeah. Now I have a vague memory of this tournament because CSA2 was such a big deal, which we'll also talk about. But I do remember this tournament. I do remember. I'm just gonna run down my mental Rolodex, and then you can talk about it. Like, I do remember. You know, for anybody who doesn't know, Albany is like 2.5 or so hours away from New York City, so it's like a trip for us. And it was fun. It was a freestyle tournament, and it was a tech tournament. And I do remember you doing Evolution. Yeah. The freestyle portion. Did you win? I don't remember. I advanced. I won. No. I advanced, and then I did that end. I don't remember who won the freestyle, but I remember you doing that. I remember this is the first time I met Big Gay Seth, who also kind of had an influence on me playing DDR. So, CSA1, talk about it. We all show up. There's like a large group photo of us. Like, oh yeah? Yeah. You used it in one of your videos. Okay. Yeah, maybe right I didn't know. Outside of that arcade. I thought that was FYE. Before. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm like sitting on somebody's lap. But we arrived the day before. It was like a whole weekend thing, right? Yep. People were partying. Anyway, we arrived the day before, and people are playing in the main arcade where the tournament's going to be held. But that mall is long. The arcade was in the tournament was in Cyber Station. There was a movie theater that had 2 DDR machines as well. So instead of practicing at the arcade, I showed face. I took that, it's like a half a mile away or something like that, right? I took that walk, and the machine was free. Oh, okay. Because everybody was congregating over here because they had the judges from California there, CSA. Me and that girl used to talk a lot. She was the head of CSA, Chinese Student Association, right? Yeah. I took a walk over there and I was like, let me get a 7. I didn't play myself crazy. I think I played H7. That's when I knew I had it at that time. Cause I SDG'd max 300.
Was that the first time you did that?
Yeah.
Okay. Damn, a 7 mix? Wow.
And I was like, holy shit. And I think I did something very impressive with Unlimited. And I was like, oh, they're not touching me. Like, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
Was that the night I stayed out? No, that was after the fact. Okay. So yeah, I did that. The day of the tournament happens. We were playing through everything. I think I played Reflex.
Okay.
I didn't. In all honesty, I didn't really like Reflex because the way he was.
Yeah, Brenda was a troll.
Yeah.
Before the term troll was a thing, he was a troll. Yeah.
I don't know, just the way he was online, the way that he came off. I faced him. I took him out.
Okay.
I did Paranoia Evolution and I freestyled.
Oh, okay.
Because I was just like, get him out of here. We never really had a rivalry. There was never any beef with us. He's never beaten me ever.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, ever. And I made sure of that.
It was like that, huh? Okay.
But yeah, so then I played Dan the Ham.
Wait, before you do that, before you go to Denham, like, damn, I remember this person's name, I think, because you mentioned him recently. But to me, this kid was like the New England version of Reflex. Was his name Billy the Kid?
Yeah.
He was at that tournament, right? I feel like a lot of New England people.
Oh, yeah, we took him out.
A lot of New England people were at that tournament for some reason, too.
Yeah, because they could beeline.
It's just a straight shot from like Vermont.
From Massachusetts.
Yeah, okay.
They could beeline. Yes, that was the first time we met Billy the Kid.
It was 2 or 3 people from New England that came to that tournament. And it was just like, oh, okay, besides, because Big A Seth was from Vermont. But besides him, it was just like, oh, okay, they got people over there too. Okay. And he was one of those people. But he just kind of, he was like that on DDR Freak too, Billy the Kid. He was like Reflex, but from New England.
As soon as he lost, he humbled himself.
Oh, okay.
As soon as he lost, he started to be cool.
Reflex or Billy the Kid? Okay, all right. I don't remember.
So, yeah, I can't recall.
So anyway, I just wanted to bring him up real quick. So you and Dan the Ham.
Alright, the precursor. The reason why I didn't go to that party, I think I stayed with Dan the Ham. And his girlfriend.
Oh, okay.
We had a gentleman's agreement. Because we had a conversation.
Okay.
And this goes into the speed mods. We had agreed to not use any speed mods if and when we faced each other. So it's a 2-day tournament, right?
Yeah.
Go to sleep, go to the tournament. Me and Dan the Ham face off in semifinals, right?
I don't remember.
It was definitely semifinals because I placed. And Deshaun was doing his thing on the other end. I got this, right? But yes, I got it, but it's a 2 out of 3. The third song would randomly be chosen, right? The third song, so I didn't even pull out my ace yet. I'm waiting for the finals. Burning Heat gets picked.
Okay.
And I'm like, all right, I'm pretty cool at this. We let the clock go down. Right before it hit 0, he went 1.5. Do you know how much that fucked with me in my head? I was like, I was like, are you serious? We get to the end, he won by 1 perfect.
Oh, man.
So I took 3rd place. Deshaun beat him. Won. That's why I entered the freestyle competition. I was like, I'm gonna try to get a little bit more out of this because I wouldn't have entered. And we had fun, but I definitely got my revenge in in true fashion. There was a NYDS tournament, and Dan the Ham was there. I won that tournament, and then I challenged him to an exhibition map.
Oh, I wish I remembered this.
And
Wow.
wiped the floor with him. Like, oh wow.
Is it 7 Nicks or Extreme?
Extreme.
And he was from upstate? Like he was from Albany?
No,
Or
he's
that-
from New Jersey.
New Jersey. I thought so. I confused him a lot with this other guy, Antonio WBR. I don't know why. I confused Dan the Ham with Antonio WBR a lot. But Dan the Ham played flat-footed too? Like very flat-footed?
Can't remember.
Okay. So
Because
you
he's
beat-
notable. He's notable.
Yeah, around that time, yeah, I remember. So you beat him in the NYDS tournament.
I don't even think he got to the finals. But I was like, no, me and you are gonna play. He knew why.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember I picked Max 300. I got like 8 grades or something like that. Like, and I creamed him on his song. I creamed him. Yeah. I was like, no, this is.
Yeah.
I'm not usually like that, but that was very like, who does that? You know?
Yeah.
And that's like some of the uglier things that would happen. You know, people would do anything to win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like around this time, from what I remember anyway, like I think Deshaun touched on this. But this is what I was trying to say earlier about like how y'all would kind of split stuff up. You know, Deshaun's defining moment in DDR, like how what he describes as his defining moment, and a lot of people as well around this time, was that the Christmas of Fire tournament that was in New Jersey. So this was like his tournament. This tournament, like if anybody who's watching this video, if you go back and watch Deshaun's interview with me, he played the Maryland people. You remember the DMV people, like Max
Zeus.
Paranoia, Zeus.
Yeah.
He went through the whole thing with them. There was like he kind of psyched them out on a few songs. It was On the Jazz. He talks about it in the interview I have with him, and he won that tournament. But back then, it was notable because like those guys were.
What mix was that?
7.
Okay.
This was like.
That's how I heard about them though. I didn't go. I think
he told maybe Deshaun could correct me in the comments, but I feel like he told me there was a tournament that weekend as well, and you went to that tournament and he went to Christmas of Fire.
Oh, that makes sense.
Maybe I feel like it was an FYE tournament, but I could be wrong.
It was nice out. It wasn't Christmas.
No. This tournament that I'm talking about, it was called Christmas of Fire. It was in like December, January.
Yeah, but when I played in the hand, it was.
Oh, it was in the summer.
Yeah.
Got you. But like
I could have went to another tournament somewhere else, or I don't know.
yeah, like when Deshaun, that was his moment where he was okay with his performance DDR wise. And then I feel like I remember that I wasn't at that tournament. I didn't go to the first Christmas of Fire. But I feel like after that, the shift of power went to you definitively. Like after Deshaun's Christmas of Fire win, he was like okay. He stuck around. Like he played Extreme.
Yeah.
But after that,
He guided me a lot.
Okay, because I was gonna say like it was like Stefan. This was like 1, 2, 3 kid. Like after the Christmas of Fire. Not that Christmas of Fire had any significance to you specifically, but Deshaun did that. It was like he won the finals. He beat Zeus in the finals, and Zeus was really
Zeus
good.
is not a game. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. That whole clique. But
Yeah.
it was Max Paranoia.
It was Max Paranoia. It was
that.
Zeus, and then it was
There was one more.
well, there were 2 more. It was Big Gay Goblin and White Silence, the tall guy. And they were those guys. I want you to talk about them when we talk about Extreme, because those guys were, aside from you, they were the only other people that could talk about PSMOs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's like, you talk about some heavyweights in the game.
But around this time, it was still like all the people we mentioned. It was Dan the Ham. It was 10. 10 was good at 7 nicks. It was Max Paranoia was good at 7 nicks. I don't know how much you crossed paths with those guys before Extreme.
Nah, never. We were like giants in different parts of this side of the country.
They were no man, like they were doing stuff.
They were juggernauts.
Yep.
Yeah. Before you continue,
Okay.
I got something for you.
Oh, yo, this is.
I know you saw me give it to Omar, and I needed to make sure that Omar was the first one to get one. But
no, of course, I appreciate this, man. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. I want to wear it, but I also want to kind of
put it right there.
I kind of want to
so
like
people see.
Yeah.
I get it. It's cool.
All right. So, before we move forward in terms of time specifically, I want you to talk about like the growth of Lazer Park DDR, because we spoke about Broadway City, but Lazer Park played a significant role in a lot of us playing DDR, including you. So, like the arcade, the community. Did you work at Lazer Park? I think Angel did. Or,
yeah, I did.
Okay, so
Yeah,
talk about Lazer Park a little bit. In general, but also during the 7th mix time period.
Yeah, Lazer Park was instrumental in its own way. Like us being able to travel, meet people, because between us, we probably got like 400, 500 mutual friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've shown up to events as adults, 80 deep. Mm-hmm. Like we're larger than the line. 6 cars, 10 cars, something like that. Mm-hmm. It equipped us with the versatility that we needed to become the savages that we became. Mm-hmm. Like we were really creme de la creme, and that's because maybe not BC tonight, let's go to Lazer Park, and they had some steam in there. Mm-hmm. Brian was nice.
He was, yeah.
Brian was nice. He did the whole "Can I play with you?"
Oh yeah.
Man, I thought. But he was nice.
No, he was good. Yeah.
Justin was Then they had G Diesel. Remember?
Oh yeah.
Diesel.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, he was nice to be around. Like he wasn't like on our level, but then he did get better.
Yeah.
And Gordon, of course, and Najee. Wow, love that guy too.
Yeah, of course.
To death. Personality wise, they helped us become who we are in their own way. Mm-hmm. Najee and his jokes. Are you really the truth?
Never Nadine.
Never Nadine. Oh, we had that rule book.
Yep.
Oh my God. Yeah. Damn, you got Najee right now. That's
It was. I always like when I talk about these time periods, or like when I'm talking to Janine about this. I always say Lazer Park was like the sister arcade to Broadway City.
It wasn't as popping, but it was.
It wasn't as popping, but like, and then sometimes I remember like you'd be at Broadway City because that's where you went on a Friday. Like you had to be at Broadway City, and then like around 11, 12, people do like a roll call, like, "Yo, who's heading over to LP?"
Yep.
And then some people just wanted to keep it chill. They would stay at Broadway City. Some of us would go over to Lazer Park, and then at like 1:30, or like maybe I'm getting the time mixed up, but then you go back to Broadway City.
Yeah, to see what's shaking. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Because it was like a 7 to 8 minute walk.
Yeah,
through Times Square. But yeah, Lazer Park was definitely significant. What about? I know you know about this because this is one of the reasons why me and you became closer. What about Staten Island DDR?
What was his name? Remix. I like that kid a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was cool. I don't know if you had. So Staten Island, yeah, and then we do South Beach Arcade.
Fun Station.
Daryl worked there.
He's cool people. He was always cool people. Yep.
Yeah. Shouts to Daryl.
Did you cross paths with Chris Fire and Dana, or was that after you?
I don't think so.
Not really, right?
I don't think so. It's not memorable to me. I remember going to Fun Station for a tournament once. And they were very upset that I showed up.
Oh, okay, really?
Yeah. I think Angel was there too. I played Angel. I think Angel wanted to win, but
no,
he didn't get it. I didn't. At that point in time, I had to stop announcing that I was showing up because it was pots. You win 60% of the pot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to mess that money up.
Yeah.
And so I show up, and Dre's like, no.
Yeah.
He's like, no. And I think Angel was a little tight too. We played in the finals, but I played Dre, and I think I was freestyling.
No, really? Are you talking about Dre from Staten Island, or like, okay, all right.
Yeah, not Dre.
Yeah.
From here. Shouts to Dre and Angel. But yeah, it was cool. I would never really go to Fun Station.
It was kind of difficult to get to. You had to take the ferry, and then you had to get on the bus.
Yeah, deep.
It's
like all the way on the other side of that Forest Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
SBA, I don't really go there off the strength of you.
You were the first person to take me, because the reason why Yeah, because, you know, like, I mentioned this in some of my previous videos, but, like, Stefan was dating a girl. You were dating a girl at the time in Staten Island, Christina, and then she had a friend, and so you and Christina kind of introduced me to her friend. You took me to South Beach Arcade, and that's the first time I played DDR Max. Because even though Max 2 was the latest, for some reason South Beach Arcade had Max. So I went there and I played Max, and you put me onto Bye Bye Baby Balloon and Flash in the Night and Ghosts. And I had never played those songs before.
Those are some good titles right there. Those are some really good titles. I even play Ghosts sometimes in the office.
Yeah, just some, they had some good, what was the other one? Follow Me. It was Follow Me, Ghost, Bye Bye Baby Balloon, and Flash in the Night. Those are like exclusive in the night. And that song wasn't easy.
It was not. It was not.
But you took me to South. I think we were trying to kill time because I think maybe Christina or CJ was getting off of work.
Yeah.
And you took me there. And it's like this arcade is mad. Like it was kind of because it was nighttime, so I didn't even see the beach. And you know, it's like this outside inside type of deal. Mm-hmm. So we got to play at South Beach Arcade. So that was the first time, but I used to go there a lot because from Brooklyn it's just a straight shot to 86 and you get on the bus and that's it. So around this time, what do you remember about the rest of the country or the world in terms of DDR? Because this is like at the height. This is like not at the height, but this is
end of 7th.
Like around the end of 7th, but like after Deshaun. Like what do you remember around this time?
Yeah. I mean, on the East, I hadn't known about the giants in the water when we're talking about on this side, because they weren't as noisy as us.
You talking about like Maryland and them?
Yeah, and PA. That's.
I was gonna ask you about that and I forgot.
We're gonna get into that.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
PA. That was to me, because I never had any problems with Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
To me, he woke up like
cucumber.
He woke that up in me, and we'll get into that.
Okay.
Especially if you own it, just. Yeah, then you had a lot of heavyweights in the West Coast because I knew it, they had better machines than us.
Mm-hmm.
And
they were cheaper. They were talking about like they paid 50 cents for a game. And we were lucky if we got $1 for a game.
Yeah, we had to come out of pocket a lot. Shouts to everybody from BC and anybody from the past who used to hold me down, because I was like a 15, 16-year-old kid working in the library. You know, and people would be like, yo, get on there, bro. Mm-hmm. Have fun. And that's what helped me become better, like the community. And you know that.
Mm-hmm.
Japan was...
Well, who do you remember from the West Coast around this time? I have a hard time remembering. There was a guy named...
freestylers. They were nice freestylers.
They had good freestyle. There was a guy over there. His nickname was Tiger. And I think he was the JSB before JSB. I don't know if you remember that.
I wasn't really tapping in with them, to be honest.
Okay.
We all knew about Aaron in Japan, Yasu, Take, and their ridiculous scores. And we were like, they created this, you know?
Yep.
Of course. Other than Eagle Boy, well, I think Eagle Boy came later, Extreme.
Okay.
Like, I would talk to him regularly because I was like, look at this little kid go. Like, run Florida, you might as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But since we sunned, we did sun Billy.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, he was a little kid. Shouts to New England. Yeah, that's really it.
Big Game Set is just like, for me, I just don't like. Back then, I just couldn't fathom how the fuck somebody would get perfects like that. Like I think it was more so me. There was a tournament at Fitness that you didn't go to this tournament, and I don't think Deshaun did either. And I drove up with Omni Target.
Oh, nice.
It was like 7 of us in the car.
Hilarious.
And you know who I drove. So he had a car, but it was like 8 of us in the car, bro. So we drove up to Albany for this tournament. And you know whose lap I had to sit on the whole time? Because it was like that. It was 8 of us in like a 5-person seater. I had to sit on Harmonica's lap for like 2.5 hours on the whole ride. Either he sat on my lap or I sat on his lap for like this. By the time I got out the car, I remember my legs were numb, and it was just like, But it was, just to get to go play DDR. But
We were like that, yeah.
Big Gay Seth was at that tournament. I just couldn't understand like how somebody could just be so accurate. That was the first time I saw SDGs on fifth mix. But he was
That was hard to do, yeah.
He was at CSA1 also. I'm trying to think if there's anything else because we're gonna like at this point we're around when Extreme came out. But I just think that you and Deshaun, and I've even seen a comment from Julio in one of my videos. It's just 7 mix was, I don't think we knew how good it was because we were used to getting mixed so quickly. We didn't realize Extreme was gonna be the last one, but 7 mix was a good mix, man. Max 2 was such a good mix. And then they had songs on Max 2 that they never brought back, like Justify My Love and Drifting Away, and they had the Whistle song, and it was just a good mix, man. So early 03, DDR Extreme comes out. Extreme was man, it's hard to even, I don't even know where to begin, but like Extreme comes out and everybody knows there's new 10 footers. We know about Paranoia Survivor. We know about Sakura, even though it's not, really like that. We know about Survivor Max on Heavy. We know about The Legend of Max. What do you remember your thoughts around this time, hearing about all these new 10 footers?
Scary and exciting, but I jumped right in because NYDS was the first one to get it in New York City, and the very first day I was there, I remember that. Okay. At like 6 a.m, like, yo, I'm out right now, I'm going. And nice. I think it was me, Tiz Bunny Word, Dave. Steve could have been there because we used to hang out a lot.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah. That's where the popcorn player came from. Dave was hilarious.
Yeah.
Loved that kid. And we went, we checked it out. Of course we tried Cartoon Heroes.
Yeah.
We were trying different things out. We had to unlock everything though. We didn't have everything.
We didn't have, yeah, you're right. Yep.
So we were trying it out and we're, getting defeated, this, that, and the third. Now, Extreme is a very defining moment for me. Because 8 on the break got it and immediately did Champions of the Coast.
Oh, really? Is that how it happened?
Immediately did Champions of the Coast. It was an all weekend tournament. I was dating Stephanie.
Okay. You went to 2 Champions of the Coast. The one you're talking about now is not the one where you teamed up with Deshaun and okay. All right. All right.
I went up there with Stephanie.
Do you remember if I was there?
You were not there.
Okay, all right.
I was the only person.
This is the cucumber one? Okay. All right.
I went up there with Stephanie, having a good time, playing, going through it. They're like, yeah, Cucumber's here. And I had no idea who this guy was. People are telling me as I'm playing, and they're like, and NJ had some hitters. They had some hitters. And they were like, you gotta watch out for Cucumber. He is nasty at Max Unlimited. Like nasty. Nothing that you've ever seen before. So of course he's got 300 and all that. I'm like, all right. Play. We meet like, I want to say semifinals, or maybe before that. He takes me out, but it's double elimination.
Yeah.
So I work up the losers bracket, like not far from the finals. Me and him are in the finals. I play him. He loses. But now I gotta play him again.
Yeah.
So we take a break or whatever, and I'm like, all right, got him. I gotta get him. We play, I can't remember the songs, and everything in this is like fresh Extreme, so you don't really know what the step patterns are. I win my song that I chose, he wins his song that he chose. Now it's the random song that is the decision maker between us. Cartoon Heroes Shuffle.
Oh.
It was hard for both of us.
Yeah.
But he took that win.
Okay.
And it shattered me. That was my first big loss, where I remember, you know how I wear my hoodie and all that? I kind of just sat in the corner and put my hood on. I was just like, damn, we're driving back, and I was just like in a shitty mood. And that lit a fire under my ass afterwards, where I was like, no, I one thing that everybody that we're talking about here, before it became more national, that New York City didn't understand, that I realized, is that there are giants outside of us. He made me realize that. That's when I switched into 10-footer mode. I said, no, I'm just gonna keep doing this shit until I can destroy everybody, because I don't know what's outside of us, and we think we're the shit. We're really not. And I OD'd in Extreme, and then that's when I went on a rampage.
Wait, real quick. I thought I was always cool with Matt, Cucumber.
I am too.
But like, I thought, am I making this up, or was it the next CSA where I thought his father was mad that like he lost and like he was contesting that, or was that? Do you remember that?
Oh, nobody contested when.
I thought it was something where like it was.
That must have happened, and I wasn't watching.
Oh wow, maybe. Why am I thought that you played him and you beat him, but like one of his parents was there, and that this could be like a rumor that just spread that wasn't true. That what
I won fair and I always played fair and square.
No, yeah, I thought like it was one of those like pageant situations where like the parent was just mad that their kid lost, so they just made a big deal out of it. I thought that's what happened with him.
I didn't hear anything. Maybe that was twos.
That was just could have been a weird rumor that spread. Okay, all right. So like just because of that loss, you just
I went into like. That's when remember how I used to be like, nah, I'm going monk status.
Yeah.
I'm going monk status. Like I went inside and I pulled something out of me so crazy. That's when I started to go crazy on the 10-footers. That's when I was like, I'm gonna beat Legend Road. And I would demolish myself by myself. I was just
because I just like at this time I was getting really good, but I don't think I wasn't anywhere. I still wasn't at where you were. And
it was his loss. It was that loss against him that triggered me.
You would just show up, and I remember struggling on stuff. I remember seeing Angel struggle on stuff. I remember seeing Andre struggle on stuff. I just don't ever remember seeing you try to do stuff. I would see you play, and you were just good at stuff. And I said this in some of my previous videos. Like you always looked like you knew how to do what you were doing. And it was scary. Like for me at this point, I'm just like, I feel like I could see you. Like speaking on myself for a minute, I feel like I could see you. Like I got you in my sights, because at this time, like I felt like I had a chance to compete. But I could see you, but you weren't attainable. Like you weren't reachable in terms of like me potentially even beating you in the tournament. There was this one time where this is before I started playing options. And we were at Coney Island. This is when Coney Island became a good spot. Remember, like Coney Island was a good spot. And I think you guys showed up a little bit later than me. I was already there. And you know, they had the El Dorado arcade, which was in the bumper car place. And then they had another arcade. I think it was just called Coney Island Arcade. It was kind of like South Beach, where there was no walls. It was outside. And I was getting like teens in max 300. So I'm like, all right, I know Stefan could SDG it, but like I'm getting teens. And then you said something like, you were like, I double A max 300 on shuffle. And I was like, fuck, man. Like, I'm not, like, that was not fathomable back then to play a 10-footer on shuffle. People play 8-footers on shuffle as like a joke to kind of like challenge themselves. But I don't know why you played it on shuffle, but because options weren't really a thing back then. But you were like, yeah, I double A max 300 on shuffle. I was like, what? Like, and so then now, like, I thought I could see you, and now you're just like far away. And like, I got into options heavy. If you watch any of my, but back then.
No, I mean, I've seen you do it.
Yeah,
in real life.
But back then, I just don't like. Do you remember like playing 10-footers on shuffle, or like is that just something you did randomly? You double A'd it.
It was definitely to challenge myself, because I struggled with Legend Road. So if the most basic one was gonna help me in any way to do this, because that's what PSMO Max was, you know, to do all of that at that time, I needed some sort of versatility. I needed to challenge my body differently. I had to approach it differently. Yeah, because I would obsessively try to conquer it at like NYDS until like I was physically tapped out, like where.
Are you doing the free play?
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it again, and I would like get like Legend of Max, got past that. Paranoia Survivor, and then I got to PSMO, and people were just watching me like, what the fuck is going on? Is he about to pass this shit? Like right here, I got like so far. Then the crazy part at the end, and it got me out. I remember like Dave was like riding with me, and Steve on and off. They were just like, what the fuck? And we could get into that, like that whole story, but that's when I was like, this is gonna happen. But I needed that to happen. I needed to do it. It wasn't that I needed to do it before anyone else. It was like, I need to make sure that I check all these boxes off, so that when I see all these people, like I want them to be afraid of me.
Yeah. Well, what you're talking about right now, and again, like people who are watching who play DDR now, I don't think you understand. Like PSMO in and of itself was ridiculous. It was just, like that should have been there. That should have been Konami's cue to be like, okay, so this is an 11-footer. It shouldn't have been a 10-footer. It was not on the same level as any of the other songs. And you could argue that Max Unlimited was the second most difficult song in the game, or if you want to argue that The Legend of Max was the second most difficult song in the game. But whatever you think was the second most difficult song in Extreme it wasn't even close to PSMO. So PSMO in and of itself was crazy. But to do that in Legend Road in an Oni course was on a different level. Those are two different things. Like to be able to double A PSMO is one thing. To be able to pass Legend Road with PSMO in it was a completely different thing. And around this time, I don't know if you came across JSB or not, but this JSB was like the guy in America. He was putting up some crazy scores. He said he passed Legend Road. He said he double A'd PSMO. But on our side of the country, it was you. For PSMO, it was you, and then it was White Silence and Big Gay Goblin. I don't remember if they did Legend Road. If there was anybody else doing Legend Road on our side of the country, I don't remember. It was you on our side of the country, and then JSB was putting up the scores he was putting up in California. And it was insane around this time. But like I was gonna ask you how you practiced it, but it just looks like you were at NYDS and you were just grinding it out.
Yeah, painful. It's a gauntlet. It's like, in succession, Max 300, Max Unlimited, Legend of Mac, Paranoia Survivor Max Oni. How many steps does it have?
Well, Survivor wasn't in Legend Road, it was Sakura. Sakura was like the break
yes.
Yeah.
Sakura was the cooldown.
Yeah.
And then it's...
I think there was 643 in PSMO.
The entire step.
Oh yeah, I don't know. It was a lot.
That's a fun fact that we should circle back on, maybe. But just notable. Yeah, I remember being because they unloaded on Extreme machines at NYDS at one point. They had more than one.
Yes. Yeah.
And I remember being at like the second one from the front door, just killing myself trying to get that right. Yeah, that's pretty much how I trained for it. And then should I just get into the whole story?
Yeah.
So Fun and Games got it, and Justin Wong and Doc, they were nice.
Who?
Justin Wong and Doc. Justin.
Who's
from
this?
New Jersey. Marvel vs. Capcom 2. You know how Justin Wong would just run it up?
Yeah.
Doc was his only challenge.
Oh, okay. I got you.
You remember the white kid? He had the nice whips.
I don't remember in terms of MVC2. I was like, why are you talking about Justin Wong? But I get the analogy.
He would play at Fun and Games, and he was just running it up the same way that Justin Wong ran it up, where like people would put their token down, and he had like 80 something wins, and he would run Magneto.
Yeah.
So nobody's really there. I'm playing, training, and I remember it was cold out. And then I had that like Celtics button up that Jamie stole from me. Mm-hmm. Remember the white and green one?
Yeah.
I'm playing, and I'm like, I'm gonna do Legend Roll right now. Right now, like I was just so in the zone, and going one by one, I get the PSMO. I nail that shit. I go outside, steam is rising off of my body, like you can see the smoke visibly like coming off of me. Yeah. Justin Dodd comes out, he's like, oh my God, you really just beat that? He gave up his win streak. He just like left, and he goes, yo my God, you really just beat Legend Road. And then he's the one who posted it up on DDR Freak.
Oh wow.
It was like 1, 2, 3 kid pass Legend Road tonight at Fun and Games.
Wow.
He's still on my Facebook. He could verify this. But yeah, after that, I was like, I'm ready for all of you.
And keeping in mind, again, I just like to emphasize that like nobody was doing this back then. If I don't remember anybody, you were probably the first in the East Coast to do it.
I was the first in the East Coast on record to do it.
That, and by that, one of the first 5 people in the world easily. We'll say Take and Yasu beat Legend Road.
Oh yeah, definitely,
right?
Without a doubt.
Let's just say Aaron beat Legend Road because he was nice too. He just wasn't as good as them. So we'll say the 3 of them did it. JSB did it. Maybe there were a couple of people in Cali, like that guy Tiger that I mentioned. So you were top 5, definitely one of the first 10 people in the world to do it out of tens of thousands of people who play DDR, at least semi-competitively. And I think that's really significant because it's easy to do stuff when you have somebody who paved the road for you. Like for me and Angel to beat Legend Road, it was still impressive. I want to say I was one of the first 20 people in the world to do it, but I saw you do it. I knew JSB did it. I knew Take and Yasu. So there's no question as to whether or not somebody could actually do this because I saw you do it. I knew you did it, but you didn't have that really. You didn't have anybody to. You couldn't be like, well, I know Sketch did, or like I know I saw 10 do it. I saw 10 do it Legend Road, so I know I can do it. You had to believe in yourself, and I think that people underestimate how impressive that is to not have anybody to pave the way for you. So I really do want to emphasize that. And so you were saying like, I just want to emphasize that, but you were saying like, you're ready for everybody.
Oh yeah, anybody who got in my way. Yeah, anybody. Where it was gonna be like, even if they were nicer than me, they'd be like, yo, who is this guy? Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not gonna get rid of him. Like, and that was like a handful of people at that time.
Yeah. What was and I have an interesting story about specifically the Legend of Max, but what were your thoughts on specifically Paranoia, Survivor, and LOM?
LOM was not that hard. I remember SDG in that. To me, I mean, yeah, at first sight, I don't know, it was kind of standard. Like, it's like, and then it's fast, yeah. PSMO.
Well, not PSMO, but Paranoia Survivor, because I feel like that those 2 10-footers to me were like good, honest 10-footers. There was no gimmicks to them. Yeah. LOM was fast. Survivor had the crossovers at the end, but like, what were your thoughts on those? Because I remember seeing you kill those too.
Yeah, I Survivor was like a snack to me. It was very delightful. I would like freestyle in the middle of it. Mm-hmm. People were like, what the fuck? Like, why did you just turn around? Like, yeah. You know, it was very fun. It was a treat. Especially because of those twists at the end. Mm-hmm. At that speed, at that ferocity, you know? Because I loved all that stuff. You know, like, what taught me how to do the twist was Can't Stop Falling in Love speeding mix. Okay. And spinning and all of that, I was like, ooh, this is sweet. Like, this is really sweet. And it is difficult, but I was like, sheesh, like, I could have some fun with this. And, like throwing your little, like, so that was like one of my favorite go-tos. I would just be like, more so than Max. Mm-hmm.
with LOM, like, and you know, just for emphasis, I'm just saying this because I also have such a significant part of New York City DDR history. We got to talk about how me and you faded in and out of each other's paths. But one of the first, when I was getting there, there's another story where I was getting there. We were in Coney Island, and you were watching me play LOM. And LOM, like I said, it's an honest 10-footer, but it was fast. And I think I knew you were watching me, so maybe I got a little nervous. And I was doing good up, and this is back when to AA it was still impressive.
Yeah.
You had this time you may have gotten under 20 grades, but you were so far ahead of everybody that to still AA it was impressive, and you were watching me, and the end run, it's up, left, down, up, right, down, left, down, like that. I missed a bunch, and I missed the AA because I had like 4 or 5 misses. You know, each miss was equivalent to like getting 10 grades.
Yeah, it really hurts your score.
I remember you were just mad chilling. You were like, damn, man, you could have had it. You almost AA-ed it and you just missed it. And I was like, fuck, like, damn, he's right. Like, I just fucked it up. Like, I fucked up. This is my time. Like, I'm already good on Max 300. I'm good on like all the 9-footers. Like, I was like top 10 in New York at this time. So DDPD around this time, and the timeline might be off a little bit because I think I misremembered this during my interview, but it expanded. It expanded.
Yeah, we became a small army.
And for other reasons that I don't know how you felt about this, but I know Andre and Angel weren't happy about this. It expanded through me, and I don't know if this was asynchronously, like in parallel, or like it happened before or after. But you recruited Billy the Kid, right?
Yes, I did.
And you recruited who else?
Donnie. Wicked.
You recruited Wicked. Oh,
he was
know
our
that.
freestyler.
Shit.
We had our own art. We had our own banner, DDPD.
Okay.
And I also recruited B-Boy Onage, Niraj.
Is it Indian Kid?
Yeah.
Okay, I remember
So
that.
Billy the Kid was the second best in Massachusetts. Niraj was the third technical player. Donnie was one of the best freestylers I've ever seen in my life. And
he was good.
He's a rapper. And
Get out of here, really?
You didn't know that?
No.
He does battle rap.
No way.
On God. And
you gotta send me the link after this.
And he is nasty. He was like
what?
There was a West Coast battle rap championship.
Yeah?
And he made it to the finals.
What's his nickname in battle rap?
Donnie Menace.
Oh shit! You not see him?
Yes.
Oh shit!
Yes.
Man.
I can message him right now.
I'm gonna have a field. Like, I love battle rap. I'm gonna have a field day looking at. So I had no contact.
You know he was your teammate?
I didn't know it was. I knew who Wicked was. I didn't know Wicked was.
That was his DDR name.
Yeah, I didn't know Wicked was in DDPD, but I didn't know Donnie Menace was Wicked.
Yes.
Oh my god. That's hilarious, man. You know, because everybody I talk to about DDR, especially freestyle, they'll mention him, and they mention. Do you know about his DXY freestyle and the Christmas of Fire?
Nah.
So they mention this. If you watch the video, and I think it's on YouTube, there's this part in DXY where he's freestyling and he does something. He goes smile and he takes the camera and takes a picture at the right time in the song, and everybody goes crazy because he timed it perfectly.
Yeah, I know how it starts. I gotta watch that.
Yeah, like watch it. I think it was DXY.
He was too nice.
Yeah, he was
too
pretty
nice
good
for me to not have him be a part of the team. So I took the best from there, and I definitely do want to talk about you expanding the team. But since you segued into that, I took the best from New England. Not the absolute best, because Nightmare Rob was that. Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about that too, but yeah.
So you want me to save that?
Save that, yeah. Save that. Cool. You can talk about my expansion, and then we could talk about that later, because I know that there was a thing there, and me and Angel were gonna snipe him later on, because I knew that they had people out there. Anyway,
I handled that though.
Yeah, no, I remember that. But before that, me and Angel, when you were out there, and me and Angel we were in like hunting mode. I was like, we're gonna go out there because it was him, and then there were other people in New England. But so I expanded DDPD. So you want me to tell you?
Well, let me just sorry for
no. Go ahead.
What I was saying, I recruited them decisively.
Mm-hmm.
And B-Boy, Niraj, I need to get Niraj's contact info. That whole wave of people is different and cool and like very eclectic.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for inviting me to your mansion. He has his own, in Acton, Massachusetts. He has his own, he had a 7-mix cabinet in his basement, and we were just playing.
Oh, man.
He was nice, bro. He was the first out there to, he got 3 rates on Max 300.
I vaguely remember him being good, him and Billy the Kid.
Funny and cool.
The way that I remember me expanding DDPD was just, I felt like we were all an unstoppable force. You and Omar had stopped playing around this time, but it was you, and I was up and coming. I was nice, and it was Angel, and then we had Jinx, and then we had Ash.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I think I got a little excited, so I recruited Technic. I recruited Red Chrono. I don't know if you remember Red Chrono. Red Chrono was from Albany.
I remember it was like a wave of upstate people. That's what I was seeing.
Red Chrono had more stealths than all of us put together. This guy had 30 or 40 stealths. Wow. He wasn't technical, but he stealth, aside from the 10-footers, he had almost all the stealths that I had. So I was able to stealth spin the disc. He had spin the disc. I was able to stealth Holic. I think he stealthed Holic. I think he fell off of social media, but last I checked, he was an ultra marathoner.
Oh, wow.
So he would do those 100-mile joints.
Them shits is not a game.
I don't remember if there was anybody else, but I could tell you, because I think this is around the time that you had moved over there. Angel and Ash and Andre were not happy with the way that I was letting people in DDPD. So from their point of view, they left because they were just this doesn't feel like it used to feel, and they were mad at me, so they shut it down. Do you remember that, or did you have any thoughts of I
didn't know that, but I personally seeing it, I was it's kind of getting watered down.
I think this is the same sentiment.
I was come on, because we had bro,
it was tight at first.
We were brolic. The second that we, as a unit or individually, stepped into one of these spaces, people were they're here, you know.
Yeah. So they were, because we also put. In New York City, we put David Togo in.
I could see why David.
We put Julio in, but Julio had been around for a minute.
Julio, I okayed that too.
Yeah, we were good friends with him, but this is when you moved. We put Jason Lone Wolf in DDPD. We put
funny. Yeah, I like him.
We put Adam STF. Adam was a good friend of ours.
Oh yeah, I remember. And
we put Neil. I think his nickname was Ashino. He dated Lisa. If you remember Lisa, she lived up here. I feel like you knew her, but it felt not the guys from New York City, but and I love Technic, and I me and Red Chrono were cool, but after a while, it did feel a little watered down, and that was one of the things that I regretted, of just not solidifying, because then I was starting to talk to people from Rochester, and they were I think Angel and them were what the fuck are you doing? Why are you just letting everybody in DDPD? So we took a step back for a while. We disbanded in New York. Me, Angel, and David came up with something called The 3, where we were kind of a little group for a little while. It was based off of the 9 from Lord of the Rings. So we were The 3, and we were playing nothing but 10-footers. Eventually, we brought it back together, and we tightened it up. It was just supposed to be the New York City people we were really good friends. But you spoke about PSMO, you spoke about New England, and you spoke a little bit about playing options, and we did talk about Legend Road. So the loaded question, we do have. I want to make sure we touch on Nightmare Rob, but I also was going to ask you about DDR Extreme tournaments, which is a loaded question.
Oh, it's a lot.
So
a lot there, yeah.
Let's talk about Nightmare Rob first.
Okay.
This was a good DDR player from, where was he from? Massachusetts? Boston, right?
Yeah, Massachusetts.
Okay.
He's the best that they had, technically.
Okay.
Wow. Okay, this is gonna be fun. All right. So I moved to Connecticut. I wasn't doing so good in school in New York City because of DDR, so my mom took me away. I eventually got a car. I was able to travel. I'd go to Rhode Island on the weekends and practice in Warwick. At Tilt was the arcade, or you won me some money and a trophy. I did your K-set freestyle at a golf course, and I won the technical tournament. And I came with 2 big ass trophies. I entered Freestyle because they didn't have any freestylers. It was free money.
Yeah.
At a golf place. First I go to Warwick. No, not Warwick. I go to Woonsocket, Rhode Island.
Okay.
They had a tournament. They had a DDR tournament there. That pot was nice. Japanese PS2, like $600.
Oh wow.
A gold pad, like metal pad. I was like, ooh, I'm definitely going there.
Mm-hmm.
Steve L is there.
Okay.
Let me not.
But we gotta talk about him with the extreme tournaments. But okay, go ahead.
That's an extreme tournament.
Yeah.
Steve L is there. He's the best that CT had to offer before I moved there. And I'm like, all right, smooth. It was kind of light. I remember the girl Desiree there. She liked me. I thought that shit was hilarious. Mm-hmm. She worked there. Steve L's there. We meet in the finals. We didn't meet before the finals.
Okay.
We met in the finals. That's when I met Catastrophe. Shouts to him. He housed me once. I think no. I went straight back because I won a few tournaments there. Steve L's there. We play. Yeah, I play Max 300 and I red flag it.
What's the red? I don't remember that. What's the red flag? Was that when you get a miss?
One.
Just one miss and you get the rest perfects?
Yes.
Oh, damn, in the tournament?
Yeah. It was the da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da, boom.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's pretty impressive. And I can't really remember what he picked, but I pretty much cleaned up.
Yeah.
So I won everything. I think I've won that's Champions of the Coast with the guy who used to make the Step Mania songs, Airwalker, man. Anyway, so I won everything, and I'm like, damn, I already got a PS2. This is a Japanese PS2. Do I need any of this stuff? I just got $600 in cash. I go back to Connecticut. I put it up on DDR Freak that I won, but I don't need any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Somebody drives down, gave me like 1,000 something, easy. I was like, all right, cool. I didn't really keep anything.
Yeah.
So I made a big payload. Now the caveat is when I entered this tournament, because I'm like that, and I've done this before, like with Leanie when I let her take first place. I entered the tournament as Willie Boy from NYDS.
Oh God, I remember him. He was cool.
Yeah, he was mad cool. He wasn't good, but he was mad cool to chill with. I entered as Willie Boy, and there's the bracket system, so they keep writing Willie Boy. Yeah. And then I go on the New York forums and I go, Willie Boy just won. He just won a tournament in Rhode Island. And I remember him commenting like, "Oh man, yeah, I own that." And then he was like, "Thanks" and all that. And I did it in the New York forums. Mm-hmm. And people in New York are commenting because I still like to talk to y'all.
Yeah.
Stay as active as I possibly could. Nightmare Rob goes to I don't know how. He comes to the New York forums and he's like, "You New Yorkers think you're the shit. You think you can just do all this and come over here and take over?" And I was like, "Oh, he's mad. He's big mad."
Yeah.
I'm like, "All right, say less." Was it there first? Okay. I'm winning tournaments in New England, right? I go up to Hanover, East Hanover. It's like up near, it either is Maine or it's like northwest, Hanover Mall, northwest Massachusetts. My big brother is there. My big brother's big. Like, he looks like security guard big,
Okay.
And he's seeing me go through this tournament and he's just like, yeah, it's my brother, Not that he was intimidating anybody, but I'm winning. I played Nightmare Rob, and I win. Mm-hmm. I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, I go over to my brother. I'm talking this and that. There was like a judge or referee there or something like that, and he's complaining to him the whole time that I'm talking to my brother, and he's like, no, like the pads.
Oh, I think I heard. Yeah.
And I was like, yo, I played on both sides the entire tournament.
Yeah.
So I turn around, I'm like, what's going on here? He's like going on about it. I was like, bro, I just played on both. I'm telling the guy. He's like, yeah, you're right. You won fair and square. Mm-hmm. So he was trying to cheat me out of that tournament. And I was like, ooh, somebody's feeling a little butthurt. Left, took the prize. I'm at North Free Academy, senior year, and we had a test, a spelling test, for a spelling bee. And I was like, oh, they let you study a sheet and then they're gonna give you words. So I studied it a little. I really didn't have to try hard, but I made sure I knew how to spell bouillabaisse correctly.
Oh yeah. God, I never heard that word before.
And I remember doing the test, and then one day I come in. You have to go. It's basically like a prep school, you know. You have to go into your homeroom, and then you go to class.
Okay.
So I remember I'm in homeroom, I'm tired, I got my head on my desk, and they do like a morning announcement, and they got like their whole news team up there on the monitor. And they're like, and congratulations to the 3 finalists for the spelling bee. John Doe, Jane Doe, Steph and Salomon. And I'm just like, oh. And I'm like, oh, damn. And everybody turns around because I'm sitting in the back and my head's down. They're just like, yeah. My senior English teacher, that's another story. Kendall, Mrs. Kendall, was like bragging. Like, she's like, yeah, my student's in the finals and all of that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm dating this girl. Now, Legends of Newport 3, Newport, Rhode Island, was coming up. The spelling bee was on a day, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go to Legends in Newport, win that, and solidify that I'm the best out here. Then I'm gonna go to the spelling bee. They were closed. They rescheduled Legend in Newport to the day of the spelling bee.
Oh.
I had a choice to make, and I chose Legends of Newport. Probably not a wise choice. I go, there's a picture of I could share that with you if you wanna, but there's a picture of me winning, like, and you see the scoreboard, and I'm kind of just like, so I go face off with Nightmare Rob. That's where I met the artist who created our banner for the forums.
Oh, okay.
Very unique woman. Yeah, I go, I check that one off. I'm the best in New England. At what cost? I didn't even show up to the spelling bee. My teacher was mad at me. I remember we had a debate. We were reading Ender's Game. I loved that book, and I was the team captain against I forgot his name. I think he's like CIA or FBI now. But against somebody else. I clearly won that debate, but she made sure that he won.
Oh, just because you missed it before, yeah.
I was tight after that. But yeah.
Aside from him, there was, this was around my time, but I don't know if this was around your time too. There was a guy out there who was also doing Ledger Row stuff, and his nickname was ZZZ. Do you remember that name? Maybe that was
what
a little.
Do you mean that time?
Like around the Extreme time. His nickname was ZZZ. He was doubling 10-footers, and he was getting like good Ledger Row scores. Maybe this was a little after Nightmare Rob.
Had to have been. I don't think Nightmare Rob even passed it, to be honest.
He was good, but not like good. Like, he was good before you, Nightmare Rob, right? If you were seeing him in the finals, I guess. Yeah, ZZZ was, I guess it was like around my time. Me and Angel, we knew about a few people out there, and we, at this time, we were just like, we want to make sure we got everything under control. So we were gonna, like in DDPD fashion, we were just gonna take, because I know you used to do this, we were gonna take the bus in China. What was it called? What was that company called?
Oh yeah, yeah, like that $10, $15 bus. They still do it. It might be 15 now. It was 10 back then. And you can go from Manhattan to as far as Massachusetts if you wanted.
Yeah. we were gonna hop on one of those for the day, and I was like, I don't even know what the arcade is. I'll just find it. I just assumed everything was like New York City, and I was just like, nah, yeah. But I was gonna. We just never wound up doing it. We probably would have been surprisingly disappointed, but we were gonna go out there. But I had a conversation with that guy ZZZ on AOL Instant Messenger one time, and I was just like, I was trying to feel him out. I was like, so how do you feel about 10-footers on shuffle? And he was like, LOL, why would anybody do that? And I was like, okay. Like,
yeah,
like I'm good. He was just playing regular DDR. All right, so I don't know if we're missing anything, but really, you mentioned Steve L, and yeah, this is starting to make sense, bro. You know where I got a lot of the timelines mixed up? In my head, because I forgot, I thought you moved out to Connecticut and that was it, but that wasn't it.
No,
you were in and out for a while. Yeah, you're right. And I think that's.
It's funny. I would come back to New York every weekend for a haircut, and then I would chill out. You wouldn't see me all the time.
Yeah, but you're right in that you weren't, like, me and Angel were kind of allowed to cook because you lived in Connecticut, but you weren't. It wasn't like a split thing where you just left and that was it. But this Broadway City tournament leading up to it, this is why, yeah, you're right. This is why you weren't around. You know, I don't know if you caught this on any of my previous videos, but you know what they were doing from Connecticut? Like, Jesse had left. I guess he stopped playing or he stopped coming to New York for a while, but he made a comeback, and it was him and Steve L, and it was like another guy. And you know, I told this story a few times already, but like what they were doing in New York, there was this fad where the tournaments were, if somebody picks a song in the tournament, nobody else could pick the song, no matter the difficulty. So what they were doing is, because they weren't good at 10-footers, they were coming to New York tournaments, they were picking max 300 on like light, so that you couldn't pick it, and then they would get to the final, and then they were a little bit more accurate on easy stuff than us. And Steve O would pick like fucking exotic ethnic on you. He would get like 2 greats, you would get 4 greats, and that's how he was winning. They were getting rid of the 10-footers in the beginning of the tournament.
That's wild.
And me and Angel, this shit used to drive us crazy because we knew we were better than them because you picked.
That's wild. What, they were doing that in New York? For what reason?
Because they knew they could come over here and win. Because this was like the fad of the new tournament rules.
Wow.
Every tournament, South Beach Arcade, Fun Station.
It got even uglier. That gets on my nerves.
NYDS, they were coming through, and they were just he played super flat-footed. He played like super flat-footed. And
I could see him doing 10. That's wild.
They weren't good at 10-footers, and they knew it, and they knew that that's what we focused on.
Strategic.
And so they would all pick. They'd pick like fucking Paranoia Survivor Max on light and get it out the way, and then you would meet them at the finals, and it would be like Freckles, and they would, you know, get 1 grade on it, and you would get like your 4 grades, and that's how they would win. And so this is why, because you weren't around. I remember you weren't around for that. And so then this Broadway City tournament happens, but we were still a united front. It was still us. It was still DDPD.
Well, actually, no. Okay. Broadway City, yes, happened, but I was here. I left the Monday or the Sunday after Broadway City.
So why weren't you in the mix with these? Oh, maybe I'm misremembering it, but I thought.
Yeah. So this is what happened. I was getting ready for Broadway City, and my mom came back to New York because she was already living in Connecticut. Mm-hmm. She was like, "I'm disappointed in you. I got a phone call from your school, and you're not hot in any way right now." She said, "You're packing your shit and you're moving to Connecticut in like the Sunday or the Monday." It was a Sunday, the Sunday right after the tournament.
Oh wow!
And I took that tournament a different way, but that's when I moved. And then I said, "Peace out, NY" on DDR Freak. And then I was like, I was 16. I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm retiring," or something like right after that win.
That's interesting. Because I don't remember you being around for those tournaments.
No, I wasn't.
But
it took me a while to get a car.
From Broadway City, from the perspective of us from Broadway City, we knew it was gonna be you. Because Andre and Wardsek weren't doing that rule. They weren't playing that shit. It was a regular tournament, perfect attack, or maybe it was 2 out of 3. But it wasn't like if you pick Paranoia Survivor in the beginning of the tournament, nobody else could play it. So this is when DDPD was like kamikaze. We were like, we're taking all of these Connecticut people out. So I took one of them out. Angel took one of them out. I don't remember who, but we cleared that shit out. We were like, we're not playing that shit. We picked 10 footers on all of them, and we were like, we're not doing that. And then, you know, you could talk more about it, but this was when you and Deshaun were in the finals. You and Deshaun were in the finals for the Broadway City tournament.
Yeah, I think me and Visor entered that freestyle tournament together.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we did. That mixtape video that you made, that you had on that CD,
yeah,
had the highlights of me and him.
Oh, cool, yeah. Okay.
Oh, no, sorry. Me and Dre, we did I Believe in Miracles.
Really?
Yeah, because that was one of my stealths. And then I had him stealthing.
Mm-hmm.
And we did I Believe in Miracles, and that's in that video. Visor entered by himself, if I'm mistaking it.
Okay.
What are my thoughts on that tournament?
Yeah.
Well, I already wasn't feeling that well, but it hadn't hit. You know, I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about the tournament.
Yeah.
And they had that big ass TV screen where you could, and they had it attached to the DDR machine so you could see the scores.
Yeah.
We had everybody there. We had Queens, Connecticut.
Yep.
We had it was an army of DDR players.
It was a big tournament.
Yeah. Okay, and I was like, I'm gonna unleash the beast in here.
That's why when I used to talk about DDR, I forget about not CSA2. I forget about the Champions of the Coast that you won, because Broadway City in my memory was such a big deal. But no, Champions of the Coast was also a very big deal. But
this was right after I beat Legend Road, and I was full comboing, doubling PSMO like it was nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was regular. But a lot of the people there didn't see it. I was like, I'm gonna do that today with that big ass screen, and everybody I know here, I'm like, I'm cooking.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cook the shit out of whoever's gonna get it. And I can't even remember what I played.
I feel like you probably eliminated me.
I think I did have to play one of y'all, and I can't think of anybody else who would have eliminated me around that time. You were still so much better than me, but I was really good. If I played Deshaun, I would have picked a 10-footer on him, but he played you in the final, so I couldn't have played Deshaun. It was probably you who eliminated me. I think I got 3rd place in that tournament. Oh, nice.
But you know, we cleared out Connecticut, and you and Deshaun wound up in the finals. Do you remember the story of Deshaun and Jinx and Andre?
Yeah, I saw it in the interview, and I heard you say it before.
Yeah.
So get to the finals, and I'm like, okay, Deshaun, all right, this is when I can finally, I love that it was in that fashion, out of respect to him.
Uh-huh.
And I want to circle back to Shawn. I did that in front of everybody out of respect to him.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And I was like, oh yeah, this is really about to happen. I feel like I'm having a Baki moment right now when he does those monologues. So we play. Was PSMO the last song? No. He picks his song. He definitely won, not by too much.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, oh yeah, I'm picking PSMO. I need for everybody to see this right now.
Yeah.
And then I full comboed it with 20. I want to say 25, but it's ingrained in my head. 29 grades. And it was like silence. I won. They gave me the cash. They took my picture. And I remember, this is when I got emotional. I remember walking by everybody, because there was a lot of DDR players there. Nobody said anything to me. Not one person said anything to me. They were just like, I walked to the bathroom, which was past everybody, and it was right there in that cut. Remember?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Underneath where you could go upstairs.
It's still the same bathroom, yeah.
I went into the stall and I cried.
Oh.
I had to leave y'all. That kind of bothered me that nobody said anything. Like they didn't like recognize it. It's a reality. It's like the whole lonely at the top kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody, and it's like my friends, and that's one of the realities that I am very mindful of, which is also why I'm very mindful when I'm around people and how they look or perceive, or like, you know, my scores, and that's the true nature there. Like what kind of real reward was that for me?
Mm-hmm.
To see people who I've known for a long time just be like, maybe it was just shocking, but it was literally nobody said anything.
Yeah, I don't remember that. Oh, I'm sorry that I didn't say anything, man. Like I wish that I'd.
But then we all huddled, and I told y'all that I was leaving, and then I was emotional. After the fact, but
there were 3. Just to generalize, there were 3 Broadway City tournaments. Like I said, the first one I wasn't part of. That was the third mixed one where Jackie and Dorian won, like we said earlier. I've been trying to hunt that footage down forever. Somebody has it apparently, but the guy who has it, the rumor is that he took money from people to give them a VHS recording of that tournament.
Wild.
And he just never did it. So like if I get to interview Shawn or Jennifer or somebody from like back then, they'll be able to elaborate. But I found the guy on Facebook, and I wasn't trying. I was just very matter of fact. I was like, I'll pay you for this. Like, tell me how much you want for this footage. I'll transcode it, and I just need the footage. And he just kind of, he was like, I don't have it. I'm sorry. Like I think he either has it and didn't want to put the effort, or maybe he lost it. But and then there was the 7th mix one where you said you showed up late for. Every one of those tournaments, the Broadway City one was cool because it was in the evening. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I remember that.
It looks like the 3rd mix one was in the daytime. The 7th mix one was early in the day. But that Broadway City one, being that it was in the evening, it just added to the allure because it had all the traffic.
Yeah, everybody was like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
That crowd was crazy.
It was.
Bro.
Yeah, it was. So I don't know if this is jumping the gun a little bit, but there's 2 tournaments that we got to talk about, and that's CSA2 and Champions of the Coast. So with CSA2, I feel like maybe this had happened before the Broadway City tournament, but maybe it didn't. So with CSA2, you may or may not know my general perspective on like how the tournament played out, but just to reiterate, to go over it, you were supposed to go to that tournament, from what I remember. And the reason why this tournament was a big deal was because JSB was going to be there, and at this time he was arguably the best player in the country, and he was looking for competition, and he already knew that you were the best. He already knew that you were the best over here, so he wanted you there, and we all wanted to see you play him. I couldn't fathom how anybody could get the scores that he was getting at that time.
Yeah,
I see you do really well, but he was claiming that he AAA'd 10-footers and that. So I was like, either he's lying or he's just crazy good. I went up there, and I don't remember what. I think I remember calling you like, yo, the day of in the morning. I remember being like, are you coming to this tournament? Because like I can't hold it down. Like I can't hold this. And then I don't know if we spoke or I just left you a voicemail, but at some point we figured out that you weren't coming to this tournament, and I was just like, Big Matt was there, but like it was just at this point, like because I was playing with you, I was like, I wound up being like the unspoken de facto representative of New York. So he was like looking at me at this point when I wasn't qualified to be looked at. Like I felt like I wasn't qualified for this. But anyway, to wrap it up so that you could talk about it, like the way that they did the qualifiers for this tournament, they gave you a list of songs, and your perfects were a percentage of, like they put you in the bracket based on your percentage of perfects. So you could either pick something like Freckles, but if you got 5 greats on Freckles, it was a big deal because Freckles only has. Yeah. Or you could pick Paranoia Survivor.
That's my first AAA, I think.
So you could pick a song with a lot of steps that is harder, but you have more wiggle room for greats. Or you could pick an easy song, but if you get 5 greats, it'll mean a lot.
Yeah.
So what I wound up doing, because I was playing Paranoia Survivor a lot, I picked Survivor as my qualifier, and I got like 19 or 20 greats, which back then was good. So it was like, that's when he really started. He was like, okay, so somebody over here could get that on Survivor. So then he was like looking at me in Reflex. And Reflex was good in his own right.
Yeah.
So it turned out okay, and he really shape shifted the way me and Angel and Andre played.
See, when you see one of those giants from out of what you know, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this is serious.
So do you remember this at all? Do you remember why you didn't go, or like how the whole thing played out?
It was another weekend tourney, right?
Yeah.
And I had school on Monday, and for me, it was like a mission impossible in my head. I kept trying to piece together how I'd get there. For me to go from Norwich, Connecticut to Albany, and then get back after that, and you know, be good for Monday, I don't think I was able to do it at that time.
Yeah.
I don't even think I had a whip at that time. I was trying to figure out if anybody from the area was going, because I don't think we had anybody. Like, I was kind of like the lone star where I was. And to get to places at that time, like, people would be like, yo, we want you at the tournament. Where do you live? I'm gonna come pick you up.
Yeah.
It wasn't happening. And I could only miss 3 days of school, period, every single semester. Or you're done. And I think I already had one. They were very strict. So that's why I didn't go. And now I think about it. Yes, I did want to go. It would have been a great battle.
Yeah.
It would have been a magnificent battle. I think I would have thrown him off probably. But I saw what he did to Reflex.
You saw the Legend of Max video?
Yeah, I saw what he did. And I think, to be completely honest, I would have been like right there with him. Cause I did get 9 grades on LOM. Like, it wasn't that hard. But it would have been
good, because you were better than both me and Reflex. You were better than both of us, so it would have been close. There also might have been a 2 out of 3 tournament. So if that were the case, sheesh. I think it might have been. So
that would have been spicy. But all in all, every time I see number 13, respect for JSB, I'm like, that could have been respect for 123 Kid.
Oh, the song? I don't think that was for him. I think it was for the composer, John S. Bach. Yeah, I don't think it was for him.
Oh, all right. Now I feel so much better. Because I was like, word? Konami, they did us kind of dirty.
Yeah, no, I think that song, number 13, that's like a remix. It's kind of like V. You know how V is like the classic of like Winter from Vivaldi? I think that number 13 is just like a John S. Bach song or whatever.
I really thought that was for him. Cool. I'm thinking of clearing that up.
Yeah.
I was going to say something. This guy. Yeah, he looked impressive. I think everybody wanted to see that. I just could not.
Yeah.
I couldn't. And I think you was tight at me at that time. You were like, yo, he went out and partied. I was too distracted for DDR. My mother would have killed me. Bro.
Yeah, I think back then I was just like...
Haitian mothers, bro. You think I'm playing? You see how remember how when I left, I cut my hair?
Yeah.
Haitian mothers, they're like, cut that shit off your head. This, that, the third. Like, I went to extremes when she found out that I wasn't doing good in school. I had to cut it off.
Bro. I think your mom had me on speed dial, bro. Because even before you left, your mom was like, if she didn't know who you were, she was calling me. Like my Nokia, your mom was, do you know where is Stefan with you? Sometimes you wouldn't be with me.
Yeah.
Sometimes you were with me. Or sometimes you were with me and you'd just be like, I'm not with you. Like you would tell me to tell her I'm not with you. So yeah, like she was not. I remember she wouldn't play around, man.
Yeah.
All right, so CSA2, you didn't go to that tournament, but Champions of the Coast, you went.
Oh yeah.
Not the one that you were talking about before, but I think the one that you were talking about had to have been 2003. So
sounds about right.
The one that you and Deshaun and Jeff teamed up on had to have been 2004. I feel like that's right. But anyway, maybe I'm getting the years off.
Maybe that sounds right, because I was still in school and it was in between semesters, and I could take the whole weekend. I could take the whole. Yeah, I could take time.
So you did Champions of the Coast. In that tournament, you dominated in that tournament, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, to me, that's my 2-day tournament, right?
That was a fun tournament, man. It was.
Sheesh. And
we stayed at
talent in there?
Yeah, it was. Well, man, I don't even know if it was. So, what I was gonna say is, first of all, we stayed with Rebel Pilot, Aldrin.
Oh yeah,
it was me and you. I don't know if it was anybody else, but I remember sleeping in his bedroom. I remember playing Stepmania in his room before we went to bed and all that. So, at the time, me, Jeff, Deshaun, 10.
Oh yeah, you were thinking.
Then Maryland was there, so because of that story with
yeah.
Max Paranoia,
yeah.
Big Gay Goblin, White Silence. I feel like Cucumber was there too.
He was there
at that one as well.
He was definitely there.
Big Matt had to have been there, I think.
There's a huge picture of all of the people that showed up outside.
I think I've seen that before. Yeah. Then there was Reflex. He was there.
I forgot all about him.
Yeah, he was there because of the match with him and Max Paranoia. Do you remember that?
Oh, okay. I don't.
Okay.
Well, actually, I should, but yeah.
So I want you to talk about this tournament, but this has to do with you. So like, what happened was, at this point, everybody knew you were good at PSMO. That was no secret. So you went up against Max Paranoia, who was good at most stuff, and you picked PSMO on him, which made sense. And you beat him. You beat him like badly. So I think he was already kind of annoyed that he had to play PSMO. So he goes up against Brendan Reflex. What do you think Reflex picks on him? Picks PSMO on him. But everybody knew that Brendan just did that to exploit the weakness that you already showed. So he wanted to fight Brendan. I think afterward he was like, "Come on, let's go outside" or something like that. He was really mad that Brendan picked PSMO on him. So everybody was just like throwing PSMO at him left and right. Like you picked it and then Brendan picked it.
Because that was the match everybody wanted to see.
You and Max Paranoia?
It was one of them.
Oh, because that wasn't even the final. Like that was early.
Do you know why that was like that? I almost didn't qualify.
Oh, really?
I was last on. I did horrible during qualifying.
Oh, okay.
I got like nervous or something. And I was the very last seed and he was the very first seed.
Oh, shit. Huh.
That's why we faced each other immediately, and people were like, "Yo, this is what I came here for," and it's just gonna happen like that. And then I was like, "Oh, I gotta go all out immediately." I said, "Okay, say less. I'm not losing." I'm like, "I'm not losing this shit. Not again." I was like, "Not until I take that guy out right there."
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I picked that, and then I immediately went from the last to the first because I took his spot. And after that, I was chilling. Yeah, so I rose through that, and in tandem they were doing the 5th mix tournament. And I entered that as well. I was going through that. I think that one ended first, and I won.
Oh, you? Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes, absolutely won the 5th mix tournament. Going up, finally faced Cucumber again.
Was this like the finals or was it just like deep in the tournament?
I want to say the finals. I didn't lose.
Okay.
Not once. And I really wish I could remember. So I already got one win. The song set, I wish I could remember. I was so focused. It was like Dragon Ball Z God mode or something, or whatever they call that. Ultra Instinct. I took him out, but you have to face him again because it's double elimination, and I did it again, definitively. And I was like, I got him, redemption. Then they did the team tournament.
Yeah, it was a little bit after.
And everybody's looking around the room like who do I mess with? But you got to kind of act fast.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't really have to look too much. But I think I did face Zeus, and I had to face one of the heavyweights in the actual singles tournament. But of course, me and Deshaun look at each other, And I'm like, I really like this, because now you got the best of both worlds in NYC. And then Jeff is there, and I'm like, yo, Jeff is nice. And this was a moment where we buried the hatchet.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like, because we had like a little bit of a beef over a girl.
Yeah.
And then me and Steph ended up breaking up anyway. But based off of that event, we didn't mess with each other. You know, I'd see him, he'd see me. We'd probably face off in tournaments.
Yeah.
But we didn't really talk to each other. I think there was a time where it was building up to that. We'd be like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
And then, you know, a little small talk. He was a chill dude. Jeff's there, and then I'm like, yeah, let's take him. I'm like, let's take him. So it was all New York. I think Maryland did the same. I think they all teamed up together because they knew each other.
Yep.
And so I'm cooked at this point. I remember I had a tank top on. I cut my hair, so I had like a bandana with like an American flag underneath or something like that.
Yeah.
And like a red hat. And I remember going through the stages with them, because it's like 1v1, and then the other versus the other, and then the third versus the third. So you could have the most interesting matchups ever. So you gotta think defensively, you gotta think offensively.
Yeah.
And then it's a wild card, because they're random. It was in the finals. I did PSMO again. I'm dripping, soaking wet. I remember standing there like, yo, I feel so skinny. Because I was sweating. I just did so much.
Yeah.
And doing PSMO and full comboing it again. And winning. And we stood on that stage. I felt like a god, bro. I felt like a god. Like amongst gods. And that's what it was. At that time, in that space, you drop any of those names in that time. And to win all 3 tournaments, I went home with everything. Beatmania, 2DX, 6 mix or something like that. Beatmania, turntable, Mad Cash, I think it was a PS2 Japanese. And Airwalker Matt, after that, he hit me up and he was like, yo, what you gotta do with all that? He goes, what you gotta do with all that? I remember I came back, I just had everything. And I was like, you could buy it off me if you want. Yeah. So I sold him. Shouts to Airwalker Matt. He trained a lot of us with the Step Mania stuff that he made. I just found out recently that he was Bimani Ruler. You didn't know that? And his sister is Jeno?
Nah, his sister's not Jeno. It's Steve's sister. Steve and Jeno are siblings. I don't know who his sister is.
Okay, yeah, I think I'm confusing. But he was Airwalker Matt was like.
Yeah, I had no idea. He was good. I knew him as a good DDR player from FYE.
Cynthia who put me on. Remember CJK?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, there's something about those two where they know each other, but she put me on to like the real facts. Yeah. Yeah, so he bought everything off of me because he wanted that bad. He shelled off some cash. I remember going back to school because I had to do summer school to make up for everything every single year to graduate on time.
Oh, okay.
So it was like Friday through Saturday, but I had to be on a bus coming back to Connecticut Sunday, and I made sure that I made my way back. Yeah. That moment, for me, I was like, that was
a stacked tournament. It was a stacked tournament because it was like 8 on the Break was a good hub for everybody because Maryland would drive up. Yeah. I don't know if anybody from Florida was at that tournament, but there were points in time where people from Florida would. I don't know why. It's not like Florida's close, but they would come up for tournaments. Even before Jacob Javits, there was a couple times where I feel like somebody from Florida was coming up to tournaments. So, and then you had the Northeast. Like everybody went to 8 on the Break because it's like a U.S. landmark almost.
Yes, it is. It should be treated as such. To be honest, when it comes to in the world of dancing games. Yeah. Yeah. Even when people talk about fighting games, it's like true. Marvel. They'll talk about 8 on the Break. It's. But yeah, I'm glad that you had some kind of closure and some like this may mean a lot more to me than it does to other people. But sometimes I see people who I always looked up to and respected in DDR,
And I'm like, damn, I wish that person had closure. I feel like Jimin's closure was his movie. You know, Jimin did a DDR movie.
Yes, he did.
And I feel like I was happy to see that because I was like, he has something to show for it. You know, I don't have no contact information for Jimin. So after this, if you have anything that you could contact, I would love to interview Jimin.
Oh, okay, yeah. He definitely has new stuff going on. I randomly ran into him in Chinatown, and he was like, "We're going to eat right now."
Nice.
Yeah.
So, and some people, like, I feel like Jeff never got that. I feel like, I can't speak for Matt, and I don't know if Matt and Jeff care about that, but I feel like Matt never got that. And I feel like Matt was supposed to really come after Deshaun before you. I always say that in my videos. I feel like it should have been Matt. But if it was you, it should have been Matt after you before me. And I feel like Matt never got that big win. And I'm going to interview Matt too at some point, I'm sure. And he could talk about it. Maybe he probably doesn't care about this. But I feel like in 2006 Javits, Matt could have won because of all the options he was doing playing with me. And I don't know where he's from. I think he's from the Midwest. He's a really good DDR player, Renatalis. He won the Jacob Javits 2006, I believe. And I was like, Matt, like that was supposed to be you, bro. Like you could have, you know. So one of the big things for me, and I don't know how you feel about this, but we'll talk about it. One of the biggest defining moments for me in DDR was you came back to play. You came back to visit, and me and you played at Broadway City. For me, that was a big deal because I beat you in that match. For you, it could have been a Tuesday. Like you may not have even known. But that whole the context of this is you weren't around. Like you had moved, and me and Angel. Like basically what Andre and Wartech were doing for you, he was doing it for me and Angel.
Yeah, nice.
We were going to Broadway City when they opened. Before they opened, sometimes they would let us in. And he was just letting us play free all day. From like November to like March. Every day we were going to Broadway City and playing DDR for free. And this is the time where I got to develop PSMO for me and Ledger Road. And you know, I had beaten Ledger Road at other places and I was grinding up. And in my head, I was just like, with the scores, I don't know what Stefan's doing, but with the scores that I'm producing, he'd have to be really good to be able to beat me in a set. So, and you know what it was? It wasn't even that I wanted to play you. I do want to play you. But Andre and Wartech, you know how they were? They wanted to see us play. So I knew they were going to line it up without me even saying anything. So you came through to Broadway City, me and you played, and it was all 10-footers. And I won the set. So it was a big deal for me. What was your perception? And it's okay, like it doesn't have to be all good. It could be maybe there's some things that you didn't like about it. But what was your perception of me going from who you knew me to be as like some guy who's stealth, like moving on, to becoming who I was, being able to do Ledger Road and PSMO and all that?
I was very proud of you. I mean, I am very proud of you. Because me going those extreme lengths to get as good as I could and like on my own and then like, you know, going out and above and beyond and facing these people and then seeing you kind of take it over and become that pronounced, I was like, all right, it was all worth it. You know, he made me proud. It's like you continued my legacy.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Very happy for you. When was the match again?
This was sometime in early 2004.
Okay. Yeah, sounds about right. Because we took that picture. We went to Coney Island, and it was like all of us: me, Beast, Ash, Angel, Sarah, right? And we took that group photo.
Yeah.
And I had that jacket. Oh wow. Yeah, that's right. I was in Groton, Connecticut. Okay. What I think about the match?
You may not have remembered it. I don't know.
Yeah, it was just really just a casual meetup for me.
Yeah.
At that point, I was doing my last stint of summer school. No, I was done because I had that jacket on. And I was no longer competing at that point.
Yeah.
So I mean, if I feel like you didn't get, if that's what you wanted, you didn't get it. You didn't get the best version of me.
No, that's 100% true. Yeah, that's 100%. I don't know if I saw it like that back then, but
it was a missed opportunity. I would say it would be like, MJ retiring and then you play him after him out of practice.
That's fair. That's 100% fair.
We moved around. Like we went to Coney, and I think I played in. Did we go to SB that day?
I don't remember going to SB. I do remember going to Coney Island though. I think
I tried to enter a tournament at the latter time, but I was like, oh yeah, it's not the same.
I did play you in a tournament in NYDS, and I picked bag on you and beat you. But that was after me and you had played the match. And the thing is, like it's kind of like you said, you just don't know what people are capable of. And like I was just like, I don't know, you came to the city, you showed up at an NYDS tournament. I was like, I don't know, Stefan might be OD now. But I was like, I never saw you play bag. So I was just like, I was alright at bag at that time. I was getting like 20, 30 grades, which at that time was okay. I was like, I'm just gonna pick bag on him. Like maybe he's okay at it, maybe he's not. And you didn't do horrible, but I think at that time it was like okay that you stopped playing, but you were still coming through, you know. But yeah, I definitely owe a lot to like your gameplay and like the road that you paved, because like I said before, I saw you do a lot of that stuff. Some stuff like the option stuff, I didn't see anybody do. I had to come up with that shit. That was basically what you did with PSMO. I had to do that with options. I didn't see anybody play Paranoia Survivor on sudden shuffle flat and double A.
Yeah.
That was, the options were a joke to people. It was like
I think Sarcastic Mofo was playing with it a bit.
Yeah, he was a little bit, yeah.
She was playing with it a bit. Like once Extreme, like In the Groove started to become a thing, that's when I started to disconnect. Because I believe in Coney Island, they had In the Groove.
Yes, I did want to ask you about that.
So I wasn't really there. I was trying to, but I was so far removed at that point that
was it the gameplay, or was it like the songs, or you just weren't interested?
Like I was finally basically done with high school. You know, I had like a nice studio apartment in Groton, you know, and I was like kind of done with DDR. Like not done, I'd still play it for fun. I still like to chill with y'all. That's why I would like pop up.
Yeah.
But if In the Groove was there, I remember I was trying it, but I didn't have enough around me where I was in Groton, Connecticut, to maintain or train, you know?
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I'll get some practice when I go in, or maybe I'll show up somewhere, but I wasn't looking for it like that.
There was no freestyle ability in the Groove. And if there was,
I remember that.
The community wasn't really pushing it. So like,
that was when it was like, it was going to another level beyond Legend Road.
They tried. There's a couple of step charts that, you know, Chris Beast, he was the only person that I saw who...
Beast?
Yeah, he emphasized watching... You watch him play In the Groove, it looks fun. He would catch all the spins and all the
he was always good at that, yeah.
But other than him, everybody, you know, bar, speed, high score, that was it.
Yeah. It's very linear.
So, about to wrap.
The last of the Mohicans.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Like, and I try to emphasize that without offending people. I understand that people, they don't have the context. So like to them, and I respect that. Like this is their fun. But I think there are some people who started playing it around 2007-ish, 2008, and they understand what it was like. They hear about the stories and how fun it was back when we played, and it's hard to really grasp that. It's hard to
make a movie off of this.
Yeah.
It would be like a blockbuster movie off of
I believe
these stories. You know?
Yep.
Who do you think will play you?
I don't know. Everybody used to call me Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel playing Max 300.
That'd be wild. Seriously, like some of the stories that we didn't even talk about, the things that we did.
Yo, you know what we always talk about? It's been a long time, but so like we were in Andre's house because his house was fun to be at, right? And you were dating I'll just say you dating a girl at the time. You want to break up with her, right? So we had the Arnold Schwarzenegger soundboard. You remember that?
Yeah.
And
damn, that's wild. Okay.
So you called her, but we were all supposed to. You had her on speaker, but we were also. This is not nice. We were kids though.
Yeah.
So you had her on speaker, and you were trying to say like, I don't think this is working out. And we were all supposed to be quiet, and we were. Then I forgot how it happened, but we started fucking around with the soundboard, and then it got silent, and then I just screamed. I was like, ah! And you hung up because you were like, oh shit, and we all just started laughing like.
Yeah, it's out of this world, man. Those stories.
So what did you want to press me about? You said you wanted to clear up some misconceptions.
I think I did through the conversation.
Okay,
like getting the timeline right. I mean, like one thing that I noticed when you started doing it, I know it's kind of what sparked it. That DDPD Evolve video. I was like,
which video do you mean?
When it was like some sort of DDR event at 8 on the break. I said I was gonna go. I didn't make it. And you guys were riding the train back or something, and then Angel's talking.
Oh, got you. I think the way that Angel referenced you may have been a little dismissive. I got you.
Yeah, so I was like, let me clear things up, because that's the thing. Like, we move differently, as we all are unique and individuals, you know? The biggest thing for me is like, damn, bro, I kind of gave y'all this. Like, I gave y'all this platform, you know? And I'm like, you know, you're just gonna sum me like that?
Yeah, I think he said, he Anthony got him out of there real quick.
And we were like, I went to Brazil, and so I started hitting up Paulo. And I'm like, yo, where you at in Brazil? And then he explained to me, his shouts to him, explained to me his situation. I was in Rio. He was like, yeah, you know, I got my sick mother, this, that, and I can't really link with you, but I just want to tell you how great of a guy you are. He was like,
oh, that's nice.
He was like, you're like a living legend when it comes to this shit. And he was like, but the thing about you that separated you from everybody else, I wish I had the voice message, but it was like a voice message. Facebook message deleted it, but he said the thing about you that was different was that when you competed with somebody, you would win, but you weren't. He said you were humble, you wouldn't brag, you would shake their hand, and then you would go hang out with all of us at McDonald's or somewhere, and you just acted regular. And it was like, I learned this at a latter time, like losing that sense of ego. You really don't need it, but a lot of people do that, you know, the machismo. So I was looking at it in this kind of way where I was just like, damn, bro, that's how you feel? So I always took it some kind of way, but we're all brothers, you know, like almost literally, like we lived with each other at different parts of our life, and we have a phenomenal amount of success at an early age, and we have life skills that people don't have based off of what we did.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yep. I always tell Janine, like, I saw myself winning a big tournament. Like, even before I could double A max 300, I used to visualize myself, and not that I thought it was gonna work. I didn't know about manifestation or anything like that. It was just like, I used to just picture myself winning tournaments, and I feel like that played a big part into not only what I accomplished in DDR, but like I could use that as a life skill, you know, doing something, like visualizing yourself doing something, and then going forward and doing it.
Nothing's impossible. We have a muscle that we activated that is sentient in a lot of people. That's why I like to say muscle memory, where we have created things that seem unfathomable because people question themselves or don't practice. It's not like you have to be super smart. They don't practice one thing enough and become the best at it so that they understand they can apply that to anything else. Yeah. And then when you put those pieces together, you got a superstar. You are a superstar, you know, and people will just see that in you. They'll be like, there's something about this person. Like you're one of a kind, you know? And I owe a lot of that in who I am today, the man I am today, to everything that we did, and I thank you for that, you know.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. I definitely want to end this video off by giving you your flowers. I do have a couple more. There's a couple more things I want your take on.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate that. So the one thing that the last thing that I'll ask you is, or one of the last things I'll ask you is, I've seen you play. I don't know what it's called anymore. DDR Ace, A20, DDR World. Between you could speak on the community or maybe not, or just the game. What is your take on the current state of DDR?
It's funny, when I play, they all are like, yo, where did you come from?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's a whole different beast. I don't keep my ear to the ground with what they do. I do know some of them. And they're a different breed. It's not the same in any way whatsoever. It's very secular, like, you know, well, isolated.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like super friendly, inclusive. Not saying that we didn't have our own set of unique people who were like, you know, skittish or whatever, but
yeah. And if that's fun, that's fine. Like, that's just this is all subjective, but you know, yeah, man. Like, your overall impact in DDR has been phenomenal. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to do videos like this, because you and Deshaun and Shawn deserve the credit. And the thing that I like to emphasize, the thing that I really want to emphasize, is that part of my success in DDR is luck, because of how time moves. I just so happened to play DDR at a time right before YouTube, when things were turning into what they call Internet 2.0. When you and Deshaun played, it was like Internet 1.0, like, you know, message forums and like text-based things, and everybody had Nokia phones. And if you had a camera that could record video, you were like a superstar. Like, your parents had money, you know?
Yeah. There's a lot of golden moments that, like, where I had videos on a PC and that CD you gave me of me, like, at DDR Con, the first one at BC, where like everybody showed up. You could only play like one game that day. Yeah. Like New Jersey, and it was just chill. I had stealth. This is why I'm Kid Angelic Mix. I had stealth, Healing Vision, Angelic Mix, but I did it where every single step had to be the other foot. You couldn't double up at all. So I was doing spins.
Wow,
I was playing it backwards. There's the Afronova video of me and you together. There's Leading Cyber. There's there's a lot of Afronova ones. Paranoia Rebirth. I redid it, but there's the Broadway City tournament. Jinx and I Believe in Miracles. Yeah. A lot of my success is based off of luck, and I wish that we had more access to media when you played to capture some of those moments, because some of the stuff you've done is profound. You know, like, you're also, like, you've always been a very good friend to me. We have a long history together, and I appreciate your friendship, but I really need people, if anybody cares, like, because a lot of these, you know, it's just like, this is just how things are in everything in life, not just DDR. Like, younger people just don't care. You know, they'll see it and be like, oh, why is AA and PSM only a big deal when we have like 19 footers or whatever? I'm like, it was a different time. Like, there was no reference point back then. You know, there was no way to. Nobody has seen anything like that to get under 20 grades on Max 300. It was a big deal. Like, I mentioned Tarsus in some of my previous videos. Yeah, I remember that name. And that's actually one of the names, to go back to your question, that I needed to put on that list of people in the world, because I just heard about him through the forums, but I never really.
But you remember why? Like, nobody was doing Max 300 like that back then. Who was doing that? Like, it was just, he wasn't. The thing was, the caveat was that he wasn't good at a lot of other stuff. He was just good for some reason at Max 300, and he was double Aing it when people couldn't even pass it. Yeah, he looked a lot like Big Mac. But, you know, I do appreciate our history, and I appreciate everything that you've contributed to not just New York City DDR, but DDR as a whole.
They had us on TV. You remember the CBS early morning show?
Yeah.
I lost that footage too.
I would like to try to find that. That was early in the morning, and somebody from California.
Yes,
came.
they did. They invited one person from California, and then they asked me to pick other people.
Oh, okay.
They asked me to pick like 10 other people. So that was kind of hard. I kind of left it open. But I remember, waking up super early. They set up the DDR machines where the Apple store is on the east side of
I thought it was in front of FAO
Central
Shorts.
Park. Yeah, exactly.
That's the same place?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we were playing, and this is why I say Konami kind of played us, because we did so much for them, and they asked me to do it. Well, we got airtime. We were on the news.
Yeah.
It was great. I remember I definitely got airtime. I was freestyling something.
We were stealthing stuff, and they were telling us they didn't understand what we were doing.
Oh, yeah.
They were telling us to turn back around because they thought we were just like messing around. We were trying to explain to them, no, this is impressive, but they were like, they didn't get it. So they don't want us stealthing anything or doing anything backwards. But yeah, man, like I really appreciate, thank you for coming up here and doing this. And this is a really exciting interview. I've been wanting to talk with you about DDR for a very long time. So I really want to get this out there and let people know the impact that you've had in the community. Like I said in the beginning of this video, it's like you were one of if you take contextually, you were one of the best DDR players in the world. You were the best DDR player on the East Coast of America in your prime, and that can't be overlooked. And you know, I wish that in a way I wish that you and JSB could have played, but it doesn't necessarily matter because your impact was what it was, you know.
I'll take it now that I know that song isn't named after him.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, this was something that, because I kind of just fell back and didn't really talk about it too much, maybe like personally with people I met, but I kind of like just let it be, let it live. I touch on it a little, but having this platform does feel like I can actually chill and like tell my side in a sense. Because it's kind of like it really was fast the way I just faded away, and at probably the hottest time, you know, and people didn't understand that life could have been completely different.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think about that sometimes, bro. I think about like if you never moved away and how it would have played out. Like I think about that. Like it would have been epic, and I wonder how things would have progressed. You know?
Yeah, that probably would have been. I remember I was building myself up, and I was just like, if this gets any better, this is gonna, like, anything could happen.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's fun. I graduated.
Yeah.
Got my degrees. I owe one of my degrees to you because you helped me in, you know, a very magnificent way to make sure that I did a stellar job. Thanks for that.
No problem. Yep. So yeah, to wrap the video up, well, if anybody else was watching, like if you have any comments about the video, if we're forgetting anything, or you have anything that you like, if you were at one of the tournaments, like, you know, drop a comment. I'll definitely appreciate it. I'm pretty sure this guy will appreciate it.
Yeah. I have a feeling people are gonna be like, what?
Yeah. So, but yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.